Good evening, everybody. My crime family. How's everybody doing? Is everybody happy that the New Year's is over and all the holidays are over with finally? All right. I think the next one is what? Next one is Valentine's, I guess, right? That's not such a bad one. Well, it is when you're so single and solo and all that. Then you can't give no loving to anybody. Well, tonight should be an interesting night. We're just going to go over some things. I just want to clear 2023 and be done with it. There is some new stuff coming out. I am in the middle of putting together. It's probably going to have to be at least a couple part series, and it's going to be called The Missing and the Dead. And it's going to be very good. And it was I was helped with it with one of my producers, and it should be pretty good. Anyway, I want to say some highs. Hello, Bobby J. Inquisitive, good to see you, brother. And Rev, my girl. Golf, you're in the house. Yeah, we'll have to get you up here since I got stood up, it looks like. And Bobby J and Wendy and Love Tina and Natural, my girl. Shelly, Bobby J, Leah, my girl. Bunny, Cassie. Fallon, welcome. Deborah, Paula. I'd seen Al in here earlier. I don't know if she's still in here. Are you in here still, Al? Jackie, Rev, I said. You guys have been chatting up a store. Noni. Oh, I got to go way up there. Cold or covered. Annie Ruler, good to see ya. Okay, Rondi. There's my album, my girl. Joanne, my girl. Kathy, Rajo, Crazy P, Ruth. Yeah, we got quite a few in here. Yeah. All right, good to see. Yeah, we're gonna be going over some stuff. I'm gonna put out a link here. I'd like to get Golf up here since she's kisses to you too, Golf. And hope you had happy holidays and all that. Let me get a link up here though. Okay. And there we go. There we are. There's a link for you. And yeah, we'll be going over some older vids and stuff and just kind of clear 23 out of the way. I think everybody wants to clear it out. I'm actually really thinking of going into some other cases and stuff. There's some really interesting ones out there. And until something actually happens in this case. There we are. And I want to introduce the Inspector Ass General.
Hello.
Hey, Golf. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm all right. How was your holidays?
Oh, it was fantabulous.
All right. That's good to hear.
How was yours?
I'm glad they're done.
Well, yeah. I mean, the time off wasn't bad.
Right. Yeah. No, and it was good. Some of my all the grandkids came over at some point.
Mm.
And then a couple of my kids, and yeah, it was nice. Actually, kind of peaceful, but I'm glad all the shopping and all that stuff is done with, and all the happy New Year's to everybody.
Do you want to do an open panel since you got stood up?
Oh yeah, we might do that. Yeah,
that would be rather cool, and then we can have a little round table discussion. I always enjoy that.
Yeah, so do I. Yeah, and we haven't done that. I haven't done that in a while. So I think the last time I did that was with you and Sarge. I think last time I. So it's been a while.
Well, yeah, yeah.
But I kind of want to go over some of the old 23 stuff just to get rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people forget about stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
so I think it's good to go over some of that stuff.
And
And so,
as I was talking about this yesterday with on another channel, that we do tend to forget all the little nuggets that not the prosecution, I mean the defense has put out throughout the year, and they're
right,
always worth bringing up because having a second look at them, a third look at them, a fourth look at them, as opposed to a
yeah,
lot of other things that we already looked at 100 times, like the PCA.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it gets so old, and we keep trying to dig stuff up, and it just it's hard to dig up
yeah,
because there's just
exactly.
nothing there.
There is
Nothing means
nothing
that.
new, so to speak. But if you look at it as in a perspective, as what's coming out lately, it sort of makes it a little bit more interesting. Um, like if you put it in that perspective, like what is coming out in filings right now, for instance.
Right, right. What is your take on this, Golf? I really have to question why there's a gag order now at this time
Hmm.
into this when they already supposedly got their guy. Um,
Yeah,
they already supposedly have all this evidence against them.
hmm.
Why would there be such a gag order? I guess I don't understand it, and I guess that's one of the most questions I get asked.
Yeah. The why initially they did it was obviously, to protect
Right,
everything that they've done, the prosecution and the police officers. It was nothing else. There was no rights for Brian Koberger they were thinking of when they did that
right,
initially. But I don't know how these things work. I think, like, didn't the some orders or some restrictions ended in the middle of the year and they had to extend it and stuff like that. So I don't know if this is something that they have to go through like legally, if they extend gag orders or they just last until trial. So I don't know how these things work legally, and I would love, someone with legal knowledge, maybe who knows better, to have their input on this because that's a good question.
Well, yeah, you'd think the judge could just say, okay, the gag order is lifted, right?
Well, yeah,
It would,
I don't know the legalities around it if that's that simple. It has to be requested, obviously, I think, either from either side or I don't know. But to just
and they're both agreeing with it, right?
they did, yes, yes, they
They
did.
did,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. I wonder if that's still
But
still the way it is.
there are different motives behind it. So
Exactly.
basically, the reason that the defense did it is because of how they painted Kohlberger in the media, right? So
Right.
they're obviously taking precautions in that sense, as opposed to um, what the prosecution did. That was a different, motivation.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, the mainstream media, of course, has been, but
yeah.
it kind of lightened up on it too.
Mm, until
That
trial.
sense that
Yeah.
a little bit here and there. Um,
Yeah, because there isn't much information that's coming out. They do post every now and then about it, or they do a little something, a segment, but not much.
right.
And usually when something bigger happens, but wait until trial, it's still coming. Like they're not giving up.
Oh, I'm
They're like
sure. Yeah,
dogs who
I'm
chew
sure.
bones.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm going to run a video here quick,
Mhm.
um, and it's one of my old ones, I do believe, uh, and it's kind of interesting, and we'll talk about it after. Let me see.
While you look for that, Terry Martin was asking, did BK hire a new attorney? I don't know anything
Um,
about.
that's I cannot say I legally cannot answer that question.
What is a golf inspector?
All
That
right.
that is a made up term. I did it out of political reasons way back when. It has nothing to do with anything other than I was making a joke. I was every politician plays golf.
It's golf ass inspector.
Golf fast. Yeah.
All right, here we go. And then this will run for, I don't know, 7-8 minutes or something. I'll let that run for. And the whistle. I'm going to let that play a few times. I want you to listen to that. Okay. Some of the interesting things over the years. And two young men walk into emergency. One with cuts, deep cuts to. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to figure that out. How to do that. But did you hear that? Did you hear that? I'd like to send that to Jack and say, do you recognize that whistle? Do you recognize that whistle? Hmm? You recognize it? Recognize the person hollering Murphy? Because wasn't somebody supposed to be home in bed? I did have a video I wanted to show you, but I have to. I don't know how to get it to you. It is quite interesting. Yeah, it's not going to let me. Oh, maybe it will. Maybe it will. Maybe it will. Sorry about that. Should have had this ready. I kind of forgot about it. All right. This won't take long now. Because this is pretty interesting. Okay. Should I get the right one there? Okay. And share. Watch this.
Hospital, 5 a.m., and two young men walk into emergency, one with cuts, deep cuts to his hands, the other with an open slice to his head and shoulder. 13th November. The prosecution has sealed this video footage. Rumors, Barry Carr and Roach went insane. Insane on a heroin treatment. Brittman Hospital, 5 a.m., and two young men walk into emergency, one with cuts, deep cuts to his.
Huh. Do you remember when I said the other night? Karen dug a little deeper. She knew she had that video somewhere, and she found it. She keeps that. She's kept everything since day one. That came out right after. Who was it? And the defense asked for what? Medical records that are sealed? Oh, okay. All right. It's so simple. Exculpatory evidence. This is simple too. You just got to think a little bit, just a little bit. Just think a little bit. That's all it takes. What would it be? Okay, Golf. I don't know if you're going to agree with this part or not, but I'd like your opinion on it. Because it does make sense, at least to me.
So about the Linda Lane footage, before we even get into it, the reason I have observations about that is none
Yeah, I'm not
other.
getting into the Linda Lane. Yeah.
No, but some of that was like taken from Linda Lane. And it's
Oh,
none
the
other than
audio.
if you think about this and you think about way back when. The reason I have this observation is because what was put out was totally different as far as time goes and so on. And I'm thinking back to the owner of Linda Lane, and he said his cameras picked up a white sedan between this and this hour, and it was like 2:45. I can't remember the exact, I don't want to lie. Let's say 2:45 and 3:15, right? However, we look at the Linda Lane footage and it doesn't fit. The only reason that they put that out, that fits perfectly with the PCA, but not with the original story line that they put out. So that's why I'm having observations.
Well, yeah, and actually, we will look at something that disputes kind of that. And the timing of it is 2 minutes off. You do know that, right?
Well, that's nothing, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, like the whole day and time, it's like they took that footage because it fits perfectly or more in tune with what was in the PCA.
But it's kind of blowing up in their face, actually.
I mean, in a way,
You know what I
yes,
mean?
in a way, but people were like, oh, look at the Linda Lane footage and look at that car. It
It
looks like
goes right with the PCA and right.
exactly. So that's why I have
Right.
observations, and I don't
Right.
like to go to that because I'm thinking it's totally unfounded. Like I don't think it's that day, and if it is, then I could be
Oh,
wrong.
it's definitely that day. There's no doubt in my mind.
I'm
It's
just
that day.
hesitant
Yeah.
in that because it fits too well with the PCA, but it doesn't fit at all with the original storyline at all.
The original storyline
Being that whatever was said by the owner of the camera, he gave an interview to Fox News. I don't know if that's the only place he gave an interview, but you can still look it up. I'll try to find it when I'm done talking, and I can post it here for you so you can put it out. And he claims that he went through the whole footage. Obviously, it's his footage. He was curious, and what he said does not fit into the Linda Lane footage at all. So
yeah, I know about the 315.
yeah,
But it does fit the PCA.
it does fit the PCA, and that's why
It
I'm
does fit
having
it.
observations.
It does fit the PCA. So either Kane is lying because it has to fit the PCA at some, but it doesn't show. And again, it does not show who's driving that car. We can speculate that it's Brian.
Yeah,
At
exactly.
4, and we will look at that piece because there is something I need to point out on that piece. And the reason I know it's at night is, well, I guess it doesn't prove it's that night either, is the fights that are going on. But yeah, you can see like Tank Top is there, and Loach is there, and I don't like saying names, but Queen of Piss is there, and engine the timing of the car coming in at 405, 406. He supposedly parked, and we can go over it. There is and the only reason I want to show that part is because Jeff H, and that's the only reason.
And it unfortunate that it fits with that. But let me see if I can find that. I know I
But
posted
the
it
thing is,
way
it's blown up in their face if that's what they intended to do.
well. I mean,
They didn't,
I
you know what
doubt
I
that.
mean?
I doubt that the owner of Linda Lane would lie about it. This is so early on. This is way back in December when he was
Mhm.
interviewed, and they were like, "Okay, you." I went through the camera footage, and they were
Well,
looking
there
for
was that car buzzing
white.
around at 245, 315. I mean, there was that car buzzing around. Um, Maybe he didn't watch the 4 to 5.
I
I don't
don't know. I think he looked at
I don't
all of
know.
it, but let me see if I can find that article, and then you guys can decide. Um, hold on, let me see. I think I
Who
found
put it out?
Fox.
All right. Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to play this, the rest of this, and
Okay, okay.
listen to the exculpatory evidence thing here. I got
I'll put it in
it.
private chat because I cannot post it in your chat. So you
Right,
might want to
right,
put it
right.
out for
Yeah.
everybody to see.
All right. Here we go. What would make it so? Because exculpatory means it would free him. What would it be that would allow him to walk out the door a free man? One thing. And it's so simple. It's so simple, and it's right in front of our face. Who was it I said that I thought jumped in the back of that black SUV at 4:23 a.m., jumped in head first, a female with long hair. Let's think about that for a second. Exculpatory evidence that's unique to Bethany. Why did they go to the grand jury immediately when they were going to meet Bethany? They're so stuck on pinning it on this dude. Why? Maybe it's because the people that are really involved are relatives of people in higher places. Cuts on their hands. The blood is on their hands, people. The blood is on their hands, not Mr. Covert's. That's my opinion. And I can state it all I want. So, if she testifies that DM was not home when she heard what was going on the third floor, and maybe some on the second floor, and DM wasn't there, her testimony gets thrown out the fucking window. And he walks out the door. It's so simple. We seen with our eyes. And the texting between the two, she wasn't there. It's probably why. Okay, what do you think about that? What is there like a sound problem out there, guys, or something? Somebody said something.
I think they're
Are you
trying to
guys hearing
find
this
it.
okay?
They might be trying to help you guys when you find something to like up the sound on that footage that you just played and things like that. That would be good to have a
Oh,
sound engineer.
oh, you're right. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's cranked up on this end. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you left me
A
a
link.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me look and see here.
If you want to post that
Okay.
to your chat, because I can't post
Yeah.
links at all.
Well, we can listen to it here. I'll just share it.
It's not
Is it a? Oh, it's not.
article. It's an article.
It's an
Yeah.
article. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I can read it too.
And he downloaded actually all of it from 2 a.m. up until 12 noon the next day is what it says in the
Let's see how
article,
long this is.
the owner. So
It's not too long. I can share it and then read it.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Let me. Okay. It's got to hold a little bit here. Stop sharing that. And okay. There we go. And I'll read this. And this is the link that Golf sent me.
Hmm.
And it's titled Idaho Murders. White car spotted in footage obtained by police one day after killings. And this is November 16th or December 16th. So about a little over a month after. Okay, first on Fox. The owner of a property near the home where 4 University of Idaho students were slaughtered last month told Fox News Digital he turned over a surveillance video showing a white car drive by around the time of the murders. Moscow, Idaho detectives reached out to landlord Kane France, however you're going to pronounce it, November 14th, and asked for surveillance footage recorded from a camera perched on top of a 6-unit rental building on Linda Lane, which is 0.3 miles from the murder scene. I downloaded it and gave them access to everything from 2 a.m. through noon on that Sunday, the 13th. Boy, I'd like to see all of that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. The real one.
Through noon. Look at that. Through noon.
Yeah.
Right. Through noon. Right. Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Logan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were stabbed to death inside 1122 King Road, November 13th, between 3 and 4 a.m. Police have not identified a suspect, but are seeking the public's help tracking down the occupant or occupants of a white Hyundai Elantra seen near the crime scene around the time of the murders. Front rental building and its cameras sit on a hill facing Taylor Road, the main street that connects 1122 King Road to Highway 95, the route the killer may have taken upon fleeing. Idaho murder. Oh, whoops. Okay. The car, which Frantic described as both white and light colored, traveled west on Taylor Road sometime between 2:45 and 3:15 a.m. But that's the car they took a picture of at the gas station going by at 3:15 a.m.
I think so.
Not,
Yes.
yeah, that's the wrong car going the wrong way.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
And they've
that's
never the police have never ever used that car
they have
as
not, but
the
they
car.
also
No.
didn't tell us the correct timeline in the beginning. So the
Right.
timeline
And that's
changed
why
because
that's what
yeah.
I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Only a side view of the car is visible in the footage. Investigators told Frantic they plan to run the video through their special analysis tools to enhance the image. It's unclear if the white car in Frantic's footage is the same Hyundai Elantra police are trying to track down. You had an early interest in this white 4-door sedan. It seems like the landlord's footage. Maybe additional supporting evidence for the vehicle police are seeking if the FBI enhancement determined that it's a Hyundai Elantra. Retired NYPD Detective Herman Weisberg told Fox News Digital. He added that the footage may have been the source of the original Hyundai lead. May have been, yeah,
Yeah.
and they've never ever, uh, yeah,
Yeah, well, they
investigate,
never told us which one it was either, so we don't know.
yeah, yeah. That's not the car though.
His
Investigators are
in the
looking at it.
PCA
Oh,
only, yeah, sorry, in the PCA it does state that it was picked up on camera, quote
it
unquote.
could be the real murders. It could be the real murders, but it's
Yeah.
not the car that
No,
that's
it's
pulling
not
in any other time.
Kohlberger's. Yeah, because Kohlberger was
No.
still at home at that time.
Right.
So that's what I'm
Right.
saying is it changed.
Right. Yeah. And we don't know if that's Kohlberger's car pulling in a 405 or 406 either.
No.
But it matches exactly the PCA. Yes.
Mm.
Which to me is that's fine. That's that's going to come out in court. I'm not saying that the police are lying that this one car parked at 406. It doesn't mean that it's Kohlberger though.
Yeah.
I'm sure they got film of it. They got this film. That's going to come out. The landlord added that he also noticed what looked like a sedan travel westward toward 1122 King Road around 1:45 a.m. Well, that's before Kohlberger even left.
Yep.
Then head back toward the highway a few minutes later. He suspects this may have been the third-party driver who dropped Gonzalez and Morgan off before the slayings. Oh boy, check this out. Oh, it's nice to bring up old things. He suspects this may have been the third-party driver who dropped Gonzalez and Morgan off before the slayings. So, what kind of car does Gower have?
That's a good question. None of us know that.
Right. Frantic declined to share the footage of screenshots of the vehicles, of course.
Yes.
On Tuesday, police retrieved surveillance footage from a gas station 1 mile from the crime scene that shows a white four-door sedan drive by at 3:45 a.m. the morning of the killings. Police said they have identified 22,000. This is a lie. That's a total lie. Police have identified 22,000 registered 2000 to 2013 white Hondas that match their search criteria, and that's a lie. It's more like 900. It's a horrible thing, said Frantic, who lives in town. We're in a community that's extremely safe, and we're going to get into that. It's not extremely safe. Oh boy, just wait. It's unusual and scary when something like this happens, especially when they don't capture the suspect right away. Authority and blah, 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 rest. Good article. I think the biggest thing on this article, though, is what I just, that third part, this thing right here.
Well, yeah, depending on what car he drives. That was just his opinion, and he didn't know what car that dude. I think he drives a truck, but I don't want to be, saying something out of my mouth that's not right.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that it's a white truck.
Because after the Bolo, he went through that footage. He's got that downloaded on his own computer as well. He gave them a copy of it, obviously, but he went through that and he scanned through his and he would have seen that what we're seeing on the Linda Lane footage as well. Like he would have seen that white make a 3 turn up there and so on. So he's not stupid.
Well, yeah, but the police. Well, yeah, but the police have stated that they stated that right away in the PCA when the PCA came out. That's what they had on the footage, and it matches up with that. I can't see the police lying on a PCA.
He has no. Why would he lie about that?
I don't think he's not lying. He just didn't say say it. He didn't say the whole thing of what he's actually seen the whole thing, because the police are not going to lie on a PCA. I mean, there's
I
just no way they're
mean,
going to lie.
they
They
might
have to have some kind of proof, correct?
they
I
must
mean,
have
to
seen
state that.
something, yes. So question is, I know he had more than one camera, or he has more than one camera. So
Right.
that obviously begs the question if it's on the other camera. But that's something he would have looked at. What I'm saying is maybe it's another camera that we don't even know of that the police have. That's not. Does it say in the PCA specifically? It's the Linda Lane. Is it connected? The
I
PCA.
don't think they state Linda Lane. No,
Does it? Okay. All right. I might be
no,
wrong.
I don't think so. I
Okay.
don't
So
think they do. No.
that's what I'm saying is there might have another angle from somebody else.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
that's not
I
him.
have no qualms of that being real footage or anything. I mean, that'd be a Hollywood production to put something like that together.
No, I'm not saying somebody
And
like that could be any Saturday night. Like I'm saying, it's not like it could have happened the week before that footage could have been taken. The weather was sort of the same, still no snow on the ground, bloody, So we never seen beyond. I think it started snowing
and a white Hyundai Elantra comes pulling in at 4 or 5.
I mean, that is
I
possible.
don't. I guess I can't. It's possible, but
Yeah.
I highly doubt it. Yeah.
But,
I believe it. I
but
believe it.
that's
I mean, the
just
percentage.
that's why I'm trying to be
Yeah.
a little bit like observant when these things come up.
Right.
So,
But I'd say the percentage is higher that it is real and it's true, and it's what I worry about a little bit is some of the sound stuff that people can add into it
mhm,
and blah blah blah. That's more what I'm worried. But the video can't lie.
yeah.
I will show you something on that real quick, and I wanted to do that because Jeff H was on my ass about this. And I wanted to show him something. I don't think he's in here now. We kind of got into it on my community page a little bit.
Oh, the drama.
Oh yeah, I know. That's the shit that gets old doing this.
I
Is
know.
all the drama.
We
It
all
just
just get along.
gets to be too much. Yeah, but I gotta find it first. I thought I had it pulled up, but or did I? Or what do I got going here? Or no, I didn't. Okay. I gotta go to the lives. But this is it was after I'd ran that reflection series. And I was getting a lot of crap from Jeff H back then about
Mm,
it. And I'm still getting crap from him.
mhm.
And some other people were asking questions, and they got confused on the timeline. And so I came out with this video right here, and it's not very long, and I'm going to try to get it right to the point here. Oh, it takes so long to load sometimes. Oh, hurry up. There we go. Okay, here we go. And okay, here we are. Let's see where I'm at here. Oh, and it's loading again. I think it's that live chat that takes a while to load.
Oh, okay.
See if because it was a live show, you know.
Hmm.
No, come on. What's going on here?
It don't want to get shown.
Yeah, what the hell? I'll refresh it once, see what happens.
Yeah, see if you can refresh the page.
I got this stopped, so it can't be this. I think I'm going to close this one down, and then I can always reboot it. Yeah, that's really...
What did Brian do here?
I wanted to. Oh, now it's refreshing. Okay. Geez, I rebooted my computer too before this.
At least one. What does he do? What does Brian do here? He stopped because he's seen what was going on. Then he backs out. If this allegedly, Brian, right? Look at the time. He's supposed to park the car at 4:06. Let this run through again. What does he do? Stops. He stops. There was no 3-point turn. He was stopping because he was seeing what was going on. Then he backs up. Like, what the hell? He's supposed to have parked at 4:06. It's 4:06 right now.
Okay, what I'm saying here, what I'm saying here is that the reason when Brian pulled in here, he was watching the fights. If you watch the whole thing and watch my whole fights thing, there is fights going on over in this area. And I'm sure of it that Brian was riding around watching what was going on. And then he pulls in here. And I had showed earlier that there was somebody loading something, and I said it could have been a body because it was big enough. It could have been a what do you call gym bag, even. Know what I mean? Or whatever. But he stopped, and the reason he stopped is because he's seen these people by the truck. And what Jeff says, I don't see anything and everything. And what I want to show you is you actually see the legs of these people.
Just need people to understand that this is happening at the same exact time.
And that's what I was trying to get
Brian,
to.
look at
It's happening at the same exact time that he pulls in here. And at that time, these people are loading something in that truck.
We're going on 405. We're going on 405. Brian's car should be pulling in any second here.
It's actually like a 405-23 or something.
And here he comes. Here he comes at 405-20, whatever. Here he comes.
I'm going to stop it when I can see those legs.
And
no, you're going to be watching right in here, I do believe. Or is it over here? No, I think it's right here.
Lights actually shine on the people.
You're going to see. No, it is over here. Or let me see. No, it's right here.
You can see what's going on right here.
See, you can see something moving right here, and they're loading something up. But right down here, you can see their legs.
See that? Look at that. Look at that. Look at that right there. You see that? And this is the same type. That's Brian's headlights shining on him. Shining on these people.
You can see them standing there
right here.
And there's their legs again.
And
you can see them moving
into this truck.
And
that's when he turns around and backs out like he did over here. Like he did over here when he backed out and turns around and goes over here and supposedly parks. And they say he went to the house. They say he went to the house. He didn't go to the house. He walked towards that way to find out what the hell.
And that's what I wanted to show. And I couldn't find it the other night when Jeff was here. And you can definitely see the legs, and I think anybody out there will say the same thing, that they can see the legs and the feet of those people. And that's what I really think, is that he was going to pull in there just to see what was going on, because there was so many. I mean, and we pretty much proven there's fights going on there, and actually now have proven that Brian Kohlberger was at Linda Lane. We got a picture of him at Linda Lane, and I don't think he ever went to the house. I think he went to Linda Lane. And there was somebody, and I don't know if you remember this or not, somebody walking towards the house at 3:15 a.m. from Linda Lane. Do you remember that?
No.
Right out in the wide open, walking, and he went down those steps. I think that's the killer. I really do believe that. I think I believe that and this is my opinion, of course, that at least Ethan was probably maybe not done in at Linda Lane, but definitely knocked out, and probably finished off at the house. But that person at 3:15 a.m. going towards the house, you know whose legs it looks like, and the shoes is Jack of Hearts. It looks what he was wearing to a T. He's a very skinny guy. My crime family knows who I'm talking about.
I'm a little bit, I don't know about these things because I've been staying off this Linda Lane footage altogether.
Yeah, I think you should myself. I wish you would get into it, because you're a hell of an investigator, and you did a hell of a job on Banfield. And I'm telling you right now, Banfield is connected to Linda Lane big time.
Yeah.
If you just give it a shot and just do the best you can on it, and I'd love to see you do it, because I mean, you're really good at it.
I'll try to find some time and maybe do it and go.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll
I
give you
did
something
try
new to
watch
do.
the footage that people put out there from Linda Lane, and I just realized, okay, there's even sounds in that Linda Lane footage that is eerily similar, if not the same, but toned down from what we heard. Somebody put out the camera next door picked up sound, whatever.
Right.
So it's these things.
Yeah, my little area and some of the sound. That's why I try to go back to the earliest videos that we can on it. Jeff H, I think, has really good video of it. And that's the ones that we mostly used. Then we used some of Power Puffs, and I can't ever pronounce that dude's Versetti's or whatever. Whatever that dude's name is, anyway.
Yeah.
But some of the other ones I've looked at, when they start messing around too much, I kind of try to stay away from it.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, who did this, right? That's what the first thing, and it could be 100% legit. We don't even know, but it makes you question it, right? Unfortunately.
Right. And yes, inquisitive. Yes. That's I believe that too. Yeah. And I think we both know that. Yeah.
But I mean, I like to go over old press conferences. I like to go over old newspaper articles. When people were still talking about this in a more generic way, where it wasn't focused on Brian Kohlberger, where you actually heard former police detectives and FBI directors talk about this. Like, this was not one dude doing it. Like they were like,
you're right,
certain about that this was more than one person, and and so you don't hear that that in general anymore, obviously, because everybody is just tainting it one way. So you don't hear those opinions and those voices now that since Koberger has been arrested. Everything is like, okay, now we fit it into him.
Right. Yeah. I try to look at everything with open, but
Yeah.
like sometimes you catch things that aren't right. They
Mhm.
don't seem right. And I've ran across that kind of stuff too.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, there's our Eddie. I say put out a link. Let's have an open discussion. I love when people come up here and we can discuss it, like see what they want to talk about.
Okay,
And
who's Eddie?
Eddie is he usually goes on Dago's channel a lot. He's on
Okay,
his panel. It's One
who's that?
Maiden Nut is his
Oh, one made nut.
yes,
Yeah. Oh,
yes.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I can put
And
another link out
anybody
there. Yeah.
else who's in here, I don't know who you usually have up, but the
I
more
don't. I haven't been doing that much. So
Mm.
yeah. Let me pull up where I can drop the link in there. I exited out so that thing would load.
Yes, join the discussion. It's always fun.
Okay, I just got to pull this up so I can drop the link.
Eddie's got a good head too. Like he's got some good observations.
Right. Okay, I gotta grab the link quick. There we go. All right, whoops.
There we go. Yay. The more the merrier. Come on up, people.
Inquisitive. No, I haven't tried her. No, I haven't. I haven't been doing much of that, and I want to get back into having more panels again.
Oh, look who's here. Hey, Dago.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, I just dropped a link over there, Dago. And Eddie's here.
Hey, Tommy.
Hey,
Hey, everybody.
Eddie.
Oh, hey,
Hi,
Eddie.
how you doing?
It's the first time
Okay,
being
and,
up on your panel. Thanks for having me.
Great. Yeah, no problem, man. Let me get Dago in there. And there he is, the Mr. Dago. There he is.
I am so sorry. The other night when I had this
You blew
conversation,
me off.
I did not. I promise you, I wouldn't be here right now. Listen. When you talked to me the other night, I have been on so many meds. I swore to God you said 10:30 or so, which is why I thought this was okay. I had it in my head. I even told everybody earlier I got to do Tommy tonight, and I'm going up there, and I'm going to go over with this one and this and that, and the time was just off. So my deepest
Right.
apology. I would never do that to you on purpose ever. I promise.
Right. I understand, brother.
I am so very sorry to everybody. So please forgive me. But
Well, good to see you.
Yes, it's good to be here. It's been a while since I've been over here, and I appreciate it.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate you coming too. And it's good to meet Eddie here. I've always loved your name.
Oh, it's the first time you met Eddie. Eddie's awesome. I love Eddie.
Right.
Who
Yeah.
else do we have up here? It's Golf Inspector, I see.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
I've seen you more today, Eddie, than I think I've seen you all year.
I know.
And golf, I always love having golf around. She's always so very informative. I love it. I love it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Hello
we
to
need something to
everybody.
talk about. So, what are we going to talk about here today? That's
I'm down. I can talk about anything you want to talk about, my friend. Whatever. It's your
all
show.
right.
You're the boss. You
You
pick
got
the
something,
topic.
Golf? You want me to? Well, I read a deal that Golf put up. We watched a couple short vids of me. We're kind of going over 23, so we can kind of get over 23.
Oh yeah. Good idea. Good
Mhm.
idea.
Yeah, I want to get rid of it, dude. I'm so tired of it.
I don't blame you. It's probably the worst year I've ever had. So I agree with you on that one.
Right, right.
Well, my point in we were discussing Linda Lane, and I said um, to Tommy and to the chat that the only reason I have a little bit of observation, or I'm not putting my everything into it, is because it fits too well with the PCA. However, the original timeline that they put out, it was a little bit different. And we looked up an article. I don't know if you posted that article in chat, Tommy. That Frank Frankentich, sorry, I'm butchering his name, the owner of Linda Lane, he was
No, I
interviewed.
just read it. Yeah,
Yeah, he was
I
interviewed
can post it to it.
by Fox News way back in December, and he said, he saw a white sedan, 245, between 240. He had downloaded everything from his camera between 2 a.m. and the next day at noon. So he was going through that footage, and then he gave it to the police.
Mm.
So, and he said, of course, a different timeline for when he saw a white sedan passing by. So that's why I'm like, Linda Lane could be real, but not according to what he said. It sounded different.
That's just because he didn't state anything from 315 on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
there's been a lot of stuff in this year though, like Crime Circus. I mean, we can talk about anything. I mean, it's gone from let's go through the phases. So
Eddie,
what
do you
phases do
think?
we have?
I'm curious
We
what you think, Eddie, about
we have
that.
that
I
much
mean,
time, Tommy.
what's that?
Do we have that much time to go through the phases?
Well, and then we had the likes of like Kim come in, and then Dave come in, and what else has all happened?
Well, if we go back to the very beginning, okay,
Yeah,
of this case per se,
right.
I mean, it would, like you said, I think we all kind of had it. This is my opinion, of course. I think we all kind of had the same shock and awe type reaction to what we heard on the news. Okay, that there was some kind of a crazy hunter out there that decided to do
That's
this.
what I thought.
I know that was your thought on it, and I was kind of in that
Yep.
same boat with you because of what we saw. And then we saw right along with that there was a dog that was skinned. We also saw that there was a guy on a walk, like a path, that had a knife, and all these things fell into this at the same time.
Right.
So I think to start there is where we came into it at, and we all just kind of were like, wow, and there was no suspect. So we thought everybody was a suspect in the beginning, if you remember that, because it's a college.
Right.
That's my side of things. And now Eddie, Golf, I don't know what your guys' thoughts were. I know me and Tommy were kind of in the same boat with it. We talked about it a long time ago. In the very beginning,
that was my very first thought. It was a hunter.
Yeah, because of the way it seemed, right. And here's the thing, guys. I think we talked, Tommy, in the beginning when we first started talking. What the reason why we thought, because you don't see too many unalivings done with a knife, okay? And I think that was part of the reasoning why we kind of thought that, because it was so horrible. And that's where that thought process came from. Golf and Eddie, what were your thoughts in the very, very beginning?
Oh, it was Jack Showalter.
That was another option, because he was there. He was right there.
And he's a hunter.
And we were looking at those pictures of him with the, you're right. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Golf? What do you think?
Sorry, I was muted. I was trying to help Terry. She wanted to jump on. Sorry. So can you repeat the question from the beginning?
In the very beginning, when we first got the news, the breaking news about the case, me and Tommy had both agreed when we kind of met each other, talked about that we both had the same thought at the beginning, that it was, a crazy hunter or something like that because of that. And Eddie said Jack Showalter because, we knew he was a hunter. We looked into him as well, and we're just kind of what was your thought when you first saw this and heard this?
Honestly,
Yeah,
I
when you-
thought it was personal. That was
Okay.
my first take on it, is because if it wasn't personal, it would have been easy to shoot them. It would have been easy, right?
Yeah.
So because it
Right.
was stab wounds and it was so intimately done, I took it as a personal thing.
I still think that. I think, of course, I'm not sold that it's Kohlberg at all. I think you guys know that I'm not in that camp whatsoever. So I'm looking at
Well, if he never met them or if he didn't know them, how could it be?
what's that?
If Koberger never met these people, never knew them,
Yeah,
how could it be
right.
personal?
Right? How could it be personal?
I mean,
Well, even before Brian came into the picture, you know what I mean? I think it was thrown out there at some point. Correct me if I'm wrong. That, and I think I was on that island for a little bit too. That it looked like a crime of passion in a sense. Okay, because there were so many people involved. Hey, Clue, welcome. There were so many people involved that I figured that could make some sense too. But then we added Jack Showalter to the picture, the hunter scenario. I mean, there was a lot going on in the very beginning, you guys, if you remember. And then we were all just kind of like blown away, like what the hell? And the fact that they didn't get anybody within the first 3 to 4 days as a suspect, that was where I was like, okay, this is something internal, in my opinion. Okay. So that's where my thought process was for quite a while with that.
Right.
Agree.
Is Clue in here?
Yeah, she just
Yeah.
popped in.
All right. I'll leave it. I'll leave a link. A Clue, you can jump up.
Yeah, she came in to say sorry. It was her fault that I was late, but actually it was mine because I had the time.
Oh, it's all her fault. Oh, I see. You're going to blame her then.
Can I ask a question?
You sure may.
Okay, so before there was an arrest and before there was a gag order, notice how there was nobody speaking. There was no students that uttered a word from the very first onward. What can
Exactly.
cause that? Ask yourself, what could be the cause?
Lawyers. That's what I heard. I heard lawyers were over there immediately. Don't know if it's true or not.
Do you think maybe if students were interviewed and during the process of that law enforcement advised them to never utter a single word hereafter about it?
well, if you ask me, I don't think so. I don't think law enforcement talked to a lot of them. They were keeping this so under draft, so I doubt that they talked to anyone. It seems like they
Right.
only talked to a handful of people. So what I'm thinking is more like they were afraid to.
Well,
who would they be? That's kind of what I'm driving at, is
Mhm.
what would cause that kind of fear?
I think that was questioned even back then. We were told, weren't we, when we heard the interviews with Dave and even him in the beginning, that people that should have been talked to weren't talked to.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah, Dave said that he wasn't interviewed. He doesn't know anyone who was interviewed, including the 3 students on the band field who got the MIPs citations that
That's
night.
what I was going to. Yeah. Yeah. And then I remember Kim had said that there was a car of a friend of hers I'm sorry, let me say this clearly. One of her kids' friends had
Hey,
a
Clue.
car.
Hello.
Hello again, Clue.
How you doing, girl?
Hello.
Clue?
That was an Elantra, and they never interviewed that student friend of her daughter's. And I'm thinking, I think anybody that has an Elantra that's on anywhere near campus should have been interviewed in that sense. So there's like a good handful of people that probably should have been spoken to that weren't, in my opinion. So
What I heard is that there was a lawyer that went over to the fraternities and told them to shut up. I don't know if that's true or not.
That's interesting. I never heard it personally, but that's very interesting.
Yeah, I haven't heard
Right.
that either.
Just to catch, I guess, clue up. We're just talking about the beginning of the case when we all heard about it and what our thoughts were, and
Yeah, what were your thoughts, Clue? I'm interested to hear that.
Whew. In in the very beginning.
From the very beginning, yeah, when you first heard it happened.
So at first, like I remember being like, "Oh my gosh, like how does this even happen?" Like I'm looking at the
Right.
place and I'm like, "This is a neighborhood, like 4 people and not enough sound to wake up anyone around them." And then I
Right.
remember hearing there were 2 surviving roommates and my mind went through my roof. Like, y'all did it.
yep, yeah.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think every one of us probably initially thought that the 2 surviving roommates were definitely involved at the very beginning.
And then when the PCA came out and the statements from one of the roommates, I'm like, what? All you heard was some tussling upstairs, like playing with a dog. Like
Tug of war.
Murphy doesn't look that
Yeah, it
heavy.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's a golden doodle. They don't weigh. You're not wrestling like a Connie Corso, right? I mean, that dog looks lightweight.
No, I
Right.
think we all heard when a poor little piggy gets slaughtered, what that sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And it shouldn't be far from that. What went on there?
Yeah.
Well, no, and I did a video yesterday or day before about the Gypsy Rose case, and that woman, she's on her stomach sleeping, but manages to scream and call out for her daughter.
Right. Yeah, they can't. I don't. You know what I don't get is how do they think they're going to pull this off? With I don't get it. That's what makes me think that there's still and believe it or not, there's still a tip line up, and I hear they're still investigating. Yeah, there's still a tip line up.
There's another person.
I think they're still investigating.
Tommy,
I really do.
Let me tell you, last night, so literally every night before we go to sleep, we have to talk about this case for an hour. We're laying in bed, and we're looking at each other all lovingly, and it's just Idaho 4. But
Right.
I believe it.
Gotta love foreplay.
Right? Like we were talking last night, and I think by the end of the night, every night we end on a different theory that we're like solid on. Last night it ended with 2 people, like more than one person. And I remember today I came on, I think it was Dago's show, and I was like, that statement, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." That almost sounds like if there were 2 people there, say the second person walks in and they're going to Xana's room and they see that there's a guy in there, right? And Xana. It could be the second person saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you. Like, I know you can't handle this by yourself.
Oh,
Let's
right.
both go." You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, that could be too. Right. I never thought of that one. Right.
That you said that earlier on my show, and I was like, I never put it in that perspective. That does.
No, I never did either. Yeah,
No, it
that is a
does.
good one.
Does make some sense for sure.
Yeah, it could be one perpetrator talking to the other perpetrator.
Exactly.
Well, and the
Right.
thing that got
Oh,
us.
that's fiance. Sorry.
Yeah, Cletus here.
Hi, Cletus.
Hello. The thing that
Hey,
really
Cletus.
hey, the thing that really got me thinking about that too was trying to think about the things in the PCA that don't really fit, that don't really lock down on him. And maybe I'm sure you guys, Eddie especially, because he's got record of everything.
Yeah.
In the PCA, they mention the Reddit post, do they not? Or am I mistaken there?
The Reddit?
I don't think they did. Not Reddit, I don't think.
Not Reddit. I don't
No.
think.
Not the survey he did.
Not the survey he did from DeSales. Did they not mention that?
Oh, the survey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they did.
So I was trying to think about that and think about why would that be in the PCA, right? Like, what you're not really implying a motive in the PCA. I mean, you other than the whole incel thing that came out in the media in the beginning, there really hadn't been anything pointing to a motive.
Mm-hmm.
But that whole thing has always seemed odd to me. And it's always been in my mind a situation of he's looking for an accomplice or talking to people that are in that lifestyle doing that type of thing.
Mhm.
And then when you combine that with the possibility that there were two perpetrators in the house talking to each other, and that's what Dylan heard, it starts to become a little more viable in my mind.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
That's a good theory, actually. Yes.
Yeah,
A good
it
observation.
definitely does.
I just think there's more than even a couple involved. I think there's more like 7 involved or something like that. That's what I think.
Well, in suspect vehicle 1, they don't say crime scene 1.
I've always questioned that. Why is it numbered and labeled like that? Why is it just not suspect vehicle? Period.
I mean,
Well, and then they went and did blood tests over at 500, that's where those fights were supposedly have taken place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I had that whole series on Linda Lane and the fights and all that. It was because that's one of the reasons why. And we started digging into those reflections and all that crap. And I just think there was a few people involved.
There was a lot of information thrown at us too, you guys. That's something else we got to think back to and remember. Once the PC, and if you think about it, I thought about this a while back. If you think about how this went down, okay, just like you were calling it, Tommy, like the phases, it's almost like phases of this case.
Right.
We had a lot of information thrown at us. So once, we went through with nothing really, and then the PCA dropped, and it was just like a whirlwind of shit came flying at us. Little by little, the Linda Lane stuff came out. This came out. That came out. This came out. That, we had Dot, that scenario that we went through with that. All these things that were thrown at us. And it was like, whoa, where's all this coming? Not to mention, there's a gag order, okay? Which was what made it so much stranger and so much weirder, because a lot of this stuff was, quote unquote, leaked. Okay. Yeah. And I think that some of these things, in my opinion, not all of them, I think some of these things were purposely put out to draw, I called it back then like the smoke and mirrors effect, okay, to get people to pay attention to something else besides the case. And I'm not saying that it was done by law enforcement. I'm not saying it was done by anybody in particular. I'm just saying I think it was done. How do I unmute? You should just be able to hit the mute button, Terry, and it should work. Oh, hey, Willie. What's up, brother?
What's up, everybody?
Dago. Hey, what's going on, guys?
Diggy.
Now we got a party.
Yeah, me and Dinky were just talking for like,
cheers.
Like hour and a half.
What is going on, Dinky, my brother? Good to see you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, good to meet you, Dink. I've been watching your channel. Clue, I'm always watching your channel.
Yeah, me too.
And yeah.
Dinky,
I just started watching yours, and I loved. I went back into the stuff you've been posting just to see what you're about. I just you made my whole day. I was fucking cracking up, brother. I'm not gonna go there because I don't want to.
Oh yeah, don't go there because this
negativity or anything.
Yeah, don't go there.
I was fucking cracking up.
I'm going there soon, so you don't need to go there now.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna go there because Dinky puts in a lot of work and he does great stuff, and I love it, and I love you, Dinky. You know that. So
yeah, that was awesome, totally awesome. Yeah.
I think me and Willie are gonna be going there tomorrow evening.
Oh yeah.
Yay!
Hell yeah!
Damn right, I'm going there.
I've been spending the last 2 days creating another little video for your enjoyment.
Right. I guess I don't like giving them a platform. You know what I mean? I just
I don't like how we all put our swords down the other day, and he doxes my daughter. So he's done.
That was bad.
He's done, dude. That's I didn't even know about it until Dinky showed me like 20 minutes ago. So. Yeah.
When, Willie?
Yeah, that was really bad.
When did that happen?
Yeah.
And then somebody comments that they're going to try to call Child Protective Services. That's why I told you, Dago, that's why I just randomly out of the blue today stopped and our top.
Oh, yeah, I got you. I got you now. I knew it was something like that. I didn't know that specifically.
Do these put like I don't know what your rules are here, Tom, but like I don't know. Does anybody not realize that it's marijuana for fuck's sake? Like it's weed. I have a
Hell, it's
medical
legal
card.
most places.
It's
Fuck,
given
I
to me.
smoke weed. I don't give a shit.
Everybody in the
That's what I'm
planet.
saying. Like there's 5 doctors around me within like a mile radius where I can go and get cannabis whenever I want. So who the hell is this guy to dox my
Totally
daughter?
legal
Because
in my state.
you know,
It's totally legal in my state.
you see what I mean?
Here too.
You know,
Same here.
He's
it's
yeah,
weird, man.
I can go to the store and buy joints if I want to. Right?
Once again, though, here's the point, guys, to the whole thing. It's nobody's damn business. That's the problem.
No.
That's my problem,
exactly.
Dago. Is like, you know,
there you go.
I
The
thought-
problem is,
I
now,
never talked about his family or any weird shit like that. It was just straight, you know.
yeah,
but
the
I don't
problem
know.
is now, Dago,
Yeah,
is
that was pretty bad. Yeah.
he stated that
He saw it.
he stated that he's aware of Willie's situation and why he's a single dad.
I heard that, yeah.
Okay, so then he's now thinking that it would be a good idea to send child protection round so that a 7-year-old girl can also lose her father, and he thinks that's a good thing to do.
Yeah, well, that
Really?
shows the mentality, obviously.
Right.
Okay, and I mean, not that it would happen, because I personally feel that Willie's a great father, based on the things that I know and I've seen and I've heard. So, whatever, but that's not what this is about. We were just talking about that over at Clues.
Yeah.
Just
And I
talking about
still, I stand firm. I don't care. Maybe not so much the mods, but that guy needs a swift kick in the nutsack. I'm sorry.
He needs a bullet. He needs a bullet.
Yeah, he needs his ass whooped, man. That's what he
Especially
needs.
after he was given an opportunity to put the shit to bed, and his next fucking video starts out attacking half the people that put their swords down for all intents and purposes.
He
Like,
may not be able to cuss
It
on
doesn't just start off like that, Cletus. It goes on for 11 hours like that, doubling down.
Well, he comes
Really?
out right away with the blatant lies and said that I was involved because he talked about me again. That we went live and we were talking about him. I hadn't been live until yesterday because I couldn't.
yeah.
All right.
We use it for clickbait, but in that 11-hour live he did, he mentioned me 5 times and went on a tirade 5 times about me for at least 10 minutes, telling the world that he knows everything about
Yeah,
me.
he's done that to me too. Yeah.
11 hours.
11 hours. Yeah.
That takes dedication.
Right.
What kind of a life do you have?
Oh
that
my
you can
God.
spend 11 hours on here doing nothing but talking down about other people.
Well, he had J-Lord up there and Truth Exposed and a couple of other of his trolls, and it was just a complete bitch fest, like for 11 hours. The problem is I've had to listen to it over and over again because the way I make my videos, I have to watch it, I have to screen record it, I have to save that screen recording, then I have to go back and listen to the screen recording, categorize it in. Every one of these people up here on screen now has got their own folder in my computer with hours of content of him, basically attacking you all.
Yeah.
We've all got a folder, and then that goes into that folder, and then I need to find the actual clip that I'm looking for to put into my video.
Gotcha.
I have to listen to that man's voice over and over and over, which is why I speed it up, because the only way I can hear it is like to make him sound like a Smurf. If I don't do that, I will literally just want to slit my throat. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that shit's for tomorrow. What were we guys talking about here?
Yeah, sorry. We'll like I say, we won't do that to you, Tommy. We've decided that we're gonna have to address that ourselves. So
we were talking
I
about.
just don't like. I don't like giving him any kind of platform. I kind of agree with what Elbow says down there.
Yeah.
Y'all stop feeding the beast, he will die, and that's been my philosophy since he came in this room, and I was calling him. I was calling him Detective Puffin stuff, and then his sidekick Witchy Poo, right? Yeah. And I actually ran the intro to Puffin stuff with Witchy Poo. The audience was cracking up and shit, and then, but I finally banned him, and I just, I banned him, and I blocked him from my emails, and I just won't have nothing to do with that fucker anymore.
No, I don't blame you.
Just,
But,
yeah, he's a waste of my time.
He just doesn't seem to want to go away, and he doesn't seem to want to stop. He states how afraid of me he is, but yet he keeps on attacking me. I've warned him to leave me alone. And
Maybe he likes you. Like deep down wants to marry you.
I think he wants some of this this stinky loving, you know.
It's the accent. Baby. It's the accent. He loves the accent.
Oh my god.
So yeah, like I said, we won't do it here, but we will address it tomorrow. And I would advise anybody that wants to watch, because I will tell you now.
I'll be here.
The video
I'll check it out. I'll be checking it out. Yeah.
The video I'm putting out will be removed pretty quick. I can tell you that. I'm gonna prove to everyone tomorrow in this video that everything everybody has said about this guy, about him being a fake cop, about him not paying his own child maintenance.
Yeah, I don't think he's. I think what I heard is that he was a detective of like some kind of chain or something, like a mall chain or something.
Pharmacy.
Isn't that a pharmacy chain? Yeah, something like that.
Well, wait a minute though. Isn't that called a security guard?
Well,
yeah, that pretty much. Yeah,
I mean,
pretty much.
Just saying.
I've got all the receipts, Dago, but he started working at Walgreens in 1997. That was shortly after. That was shortly after we got a couple of fellas.
God.
No wonder. It's no wonder they can't ever get my shit right.
Yeah, he got battery on his wife. He got stalking. He got trespass. That was
We're
in
not bullying 50 cents.
Yeah.
We're not bullying. We're just having fun here because he bashes us all the time. So
yeah. And like I say, you know,
that's what I mean. He brings his shit into real life, and that's the problem. Like if it just stayed on here, it was shit talk, whatever. That's fine. But when you start, you know, and that's kind of what he did with Nelly. I mean, he's gone everybody, Sleuthy. I mean, you name it, and that's what's insane is like even his friends, you know, T-Reb he turned on and you know brought all that shit. But anyway, that's why, like I said, we shouldn't even be talking about him. What were you guys talking about as far as Idaho goes?
Yeah.
Oh, we started at the beginning. What were your feelings at the beginning of this? Like when it first happened?
When they first arrested him, or when the crime happened?
When the crime happened.
Very beginning, when it came across.
Yeah, I didn't know about this until Brian got arrested.
What?
That's crazy to me. That some people.
That's
well,
really
that
crazy.
makes sense, right? A lot
Well,
of
that's what I mean.
people
Everybody
watching
thinks people knows about knows about this case. I can literally film myself walking into 10 stores. I bet you 8 out of 10 people have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
I believe that.
I agree with that too.
That would be good if that's true. That's going to be helpful when it comes to the jury selection, in my opinion.
Yes.
If that's a fact.
Yeah, I don't know if that would happen in Idaho though.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sure that's what I mean. Yeah. So I mean, if she doesn't do a change of venue, I think he's done. No matter how great of a defense she puts on.
I don't know how the law, like judicial stuff, works, but I would imagine that's a motion that should have been put through already. Maybe. Is that right or wrong?
I would think so, but
I think she's been waiting on the IGG info first, because if there's something in there as far as them violating his rights, it wouldn't make sense to do a change of venue, because then she can just say, that's a no-go, y'all are done. But if there's nothing in that paperwork, then I think she would be smart to move to a change of venue, right?
Which is why they're motioning for the dismissal first to see if they can have the indictment dismissed to come back and give the preliminary, which is deserved in my opinion anyway. And
it should be.
You know what I mean? If the preliminary would have happened, we would not be sitting here doing this right now.
That's what they're fighting for, Dago, is the preliminary hearing.
Yeah.
Because he should not have lost his rights to a speedy trial if they had gotten everything in time.
Well,
So they're
Exactly.
fighting that
That's been
fight
my
to go
argument.
back to the preliminary hearing as a
Mhm.
number one priority than anything else.
Yeah.
which if they wouldn't have reached out to Bethany, I think he would have had his preliminary, because the timing of that, she
Mhm.
says, yes, I'll talk to y'all.
It all fell in place. You're
Grand
right.
jury.
I'm right
You
there
know-
with you on that.
Do you know that timing falls in line with the University of Idaho buying the University of Phoenix for $350 million?
Yeah.
That went through in a day without any conversation, and then
Yeah, that. Thank you,
literally
Dinky.
the following day, Brian's been indicted by grand jury. So it's
Yep.
a lot of strange timing stuff going on there.
Well, it's being set up to be appealed big time.
Yeah.
No matter
Oh my
what.
God, yeah.
Yeah, really, really.
And I've heard that's being done on purpose and too. And I mean, there's theories out there that this is the way that they're going to get out of this and still come out unscathed. Is that he's going to be found guilty, so Thompson gets his little win, and then it's going to be appealed and won in the appeal, and Koberger walks free.
And that's what makes me so mad in this case is people, like, they will say something off color to you and attack you because they're like, what do you think? Why would the university hide anything? Why would they? Dude, just
Oh,
go.
God.
I did a video, I don't know how long ago, about Scott Green
They
and
always
this
hide
whole
shit.
University of
money.
Phoenix thing. And it's like,
Yeah.
he did that whole thing in secret. Like, he denied the public the right to go to the meetings like it's legally supposed to be, with emails like Project Neptune and everything. It was all done in secret. And it's like, you think they would?
Right.
And then on top of that, he's at Sigma Chi fraternity 5 days before these murders happened. That night he was there.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
no.
Somebody said,
Yeah, that's why I think there's funny shit going on there, and that's why I keep saying.
That's what I mean, and like I said,
It's Sigma
dude,
Chi. To me, it's Sigma Chi. It's Sigma, and I'll stick by that. I'll stick by that through the end of this. I'm pretty sure.
And that was my thought in the beginning, was a fraternity, like, this is a fraternity issue where, everybody just kind of hush hush, because there's some kind of code of silence or some shit like that. It's called that, something happens, you don't say nothing. And it would make so much more sense that this came from, because again, a knife is when you use a knife, it's done, it's like you're up close and personal, so you're passionate about what you're doing. You know what I mean? And if these are just random strangers, and you have no connection, no motive, no sexual motive, obviously, because they didn't say any SA. It's just it's really, like you said, it's really odd, man, that he just woke up.
The only time I can think
Idaho,
of something like that is Manson. the Manson murder.
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
But if people want to get on board with he did this to solve his own crime, why didn't he do this in Washington where he lives, where he'd be able to
not have the
die?
Death penalty?
Exactly.
Right.
But yet he drove over a couple minutes over the border and did this just to die. Like, what the?
Yeah.
Well, Tommy,
doesn't make any sense.
Somebody threw it out to me that this whole university thing, a lot of the fraternities and a lot of the people involved with the university weren't keen on them taking on the University of Phoenix. They thought it was going to make the University of Idaho look cheap,
right,
and a bit rubbish.
Yep.
So the theory goes, and again, this is just someone's theory, I'm not going to out them. The theory goes basically that those kids were taken out to try and stop that transaction happening. So it's like, this is what's happened, and it's like, this is going to stop that transaction. I don't know, that's not my theory, it's somebody else's, but it's an interesting one. There's a lot of money involved. 358 million is like a lot of money.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a hell of a. I mean, how can you say, like, if somebody comes and says, "Hey, I'm going to give you $300 million if you'll do this," well, if there's not that much involved, that's a lot of money to bring into that college. Okay, and we know the town backs the college because that is the town's income. Period. That's where the town thrives from, is the college. So
Exactly. That's why I feel like they needed somebody for classes to resume because they were losing so much money.
That's what's funny about these theories is there are almost every theory you can come up with. There's a motive that supports it, but you cannot come up with a solid motive for this guy.
Right. Right. Yes. Thank you for that.
Like it wasn't a love triangle. It wasn't an ex gone bad. It wasn't, somebody tripping out, too drunk. It was just a random dude.
Yeah.
Unless the motive is him trying to pull off the perfect crime, which I don't see. If you drive your own dang car, take your cell phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Leave your sheath, drive across the country.
I'm still on the trail of thought that that's a possibility. I swear I am. And because it's almost like a situation of so damn obvious. Hiding in plain sight, right? And it's like if he were extremely confident and just didn't give a shit about the outcome but wanted to be known or wanted to test it, there's a lot of pieces of the situation that made me think it's a possibility. Whether it's the case or not, I don't know, but it's possible in my mind.
Well, when we I agree.
Sorry,
I agree.
The Phoenix University as well. I don't know if you know, but it's not actually a real university. It's an online thing.
It's an online place.
Yeah.
So it's not
known as a joke university.
Yeah, it's not.
You can get a degree in anything. You can be a doctorate in literature and things like that. You can call yourself a doctor. That's people make fun of it.
It just seems like a lot of money for an online thing.
Institution, yes.
My doctor in literature.
Yeah. But and also there's a lot of questionable characters around this that we've learned after the fact. Let's take the 2 drug dealers into who actually gave someone fentanyl, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of questionable characters around this. So it's like a bigger puzzle of something, it seems like.
Yeah. And I feel so bad for the Goncalves family because, for anybody that tells me that, they think he's, guilty and blah, 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 and it's 100%, just go look at their family page and look at the bullet points they made, about all their questions. And all their questions are our questions.
Yep.
So we're not asking, we're not asking crazy shit here. We're asking pertinent questions because this is the same questions the families have.
Yeah, and if they've got those questions, imagine what the jury's questions are going to be.
Yeah, like I said, that deliberation is going to be a while.
I mean,
if Ann Taylor does justice, I'm a little leery about that too.
Well, in my opinion, I think the first jury is going to be hung. That's what I think it is, and then they're going to try him again, same shit. And because again, they just knocked down the crime scene, so it's not like they can go back and magically find some more shit
for trial.
That's a good question for everybody. How many of you guys? What's everybody's thoughts on? Of course, because there's a lot of people think it's not going to make it to trial. I think it is, and I hope that it is because I think it needs to go to trial. And
I think it will.
Your guys' thoughts? Do you think it's going to go through smoothly, or do you think it's going to end in a hung jury at first?
Well, I think my opinion is they've already said that they want their ideal jury pool are like farmers that live in the middle of nowhere that don't really go on the internet or watch the news, or that's ridiculous to start with. I mean, farmers' tractors these days are pretty high tech.
Yeah.
Especially around. I mean, a couple of farmers around here drive like Lamborghini tractors. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe they meant Amish. Maybe they meant a couple of Amish
tractors.
Yeah.
I'm out here. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
But then it's like, okay, so say they get their perfect jury pool of, farmers that have never been on the internet.
12 Amish men.
Yeah, they get them in court and they say, right, we're going to hook you up to the this Oculus thing now and put you in a virtual world. And it's like, how do they think those people are going to react to that kind of technology if they're looking for people that have never accessed technology? I mean, I've never looked at an Oculus thing, and I can tell you now, I would still want to see the real crime scene.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean,
Oh
Same
yeah,
here.
especially that maze.
Yep.
You know, like I said, the house was like a maze. You know.
Yeah. But it's
Right.
also like me and Willie were saying.
Not just that, the sound in
Yes.
there. It
Yeah.
was so
Absolutely.
echoey.
I mean, you
It was
saw
just like
you saw how thin those walls were.
That
Yeah.
was my biggest thing, is wanting to. If I was on the jury, I stated a long time ago, because when I did the virtual tour, 2 of them, we went through and we made notice of the fact that there's no carpet in that house. Okay, and then went back to the biggest thing about this case that I absolutely can't stand, which is Dylan's statement. The fact that she only heard this, that she only heard that, and this wasn't heard and that wasn't heard. And I said, bullshit. Sorry, Tommy. And I think that if I was a juror, I would want to be in that house to hear how things are heard in that house. In my opinion, is what I would want. Okay, that's me personally.
Would say that
I think he's. I don't know. I'm really leery about Idaho. I think he's toast, man. I think he's gonna be toast.
I think so.
I
First time around, I think he's gonna be toast.
But
that's
and I agree with Tommy. I do. Other people have said that, and I've agreed with that too. But I do feel, because we've already stated this, this is being. I think that Ann's looking way ahead. Okay, and I think this is being set up like this, the way that they're doing this, because I think she feels the same way. She knows that he's going down, so I think her whole case is to build a hell of an appeal on this to come back with. That's what I think.
Okay, let's explore that.
But then why even have her as a damn public defender?
Yeah,
let's talk about that. Let's slow this down and talk about that and explore it deeper, rather than jumping to the next topic, because we have to understand what that means. I think he's toast as well, but let's explain to everybody what we're thinking. Does that mean that we think that he's guilty? No. Right?
No.
Do I think I speak for everyone. Tommy, is that right? You don't think he's
guilty?
guilty?
I don't think he's guilty at all.
So
I'm on the fence.
With the, let's assume that the evidence that they have right now is the extent of the evidence. So how is it, other than the fact that something is corrupt in this mechanism, that he can be told? How can they find him guilty? If you were a juror, how would that turn out if he was found guilty?
I don't believe it. I don't believe he's toast personally. I really don't.
Well, but a great many do.
Well,
yeah, but here's the thing though. How can he be toast if we saw that? Again, I'm going to bring it up again. That 6 grand jurors were underwhelmed. 6 of them. Now this is 6 to 7 months after they gathered all their evidence, got all their shit back, and they went in front of the grand jury, and 6 of them were under. This wasn't a week after he was arrested. This was way after, and 6 of them came back and said we didn't see enough.
That's true.
I'll tell you why, Willie. I think that this is why I think he's toast, is because, and people don't like the way I put this, and I'm sorry, it's the only other way I can think of to put it. The propaganda and the smear campaign that has been from the moment that the man got arrested to now, he's already convicted in the public.
But that's what I mean. But Dago, that, I mean, this happens in other cases as well. If she's not good enough to do her job to, you know, make sure that doesn't happen, that the jury pool doesn't get, you know, tainted like that, then, you know, he needs, what he should be doing is trying to, you know, contacting somebody or his parents or something to try to raise some money for a private attorney. So that's what my ass would be doing. I'd be leveraging the you know, how viral this is to try to get a paid freaking attorney, because they have a reason to get my shit out of that area and, you know, get me off. Because remember, after she's going to get paid after he's arrested anyway, at filing his appeals and shit.
Well, I mean, what do you think though, Willie? I mean, do you think they obviously don't have the income to be able to bring in a good attorney? That's why Ann is the attorney. So do you think that let's say this goes to trial with Ann and he's toast, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think that there's a possibility that a new defense team will be brought in and they'll go from there with the appeal? Or, I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Well, like I said, I mean, this guy, if he's a TA in criminality, okay, and by now he's running with Ann, it seems like, you know, it seems like he trusts her. Again, me personally, I would want a pay. I know it's expensive as hell, but like I said, I would leverage how viral this is and how little evidence is on me. And, obviously I see some people think, I'm sure he sees something. He gets, mail and stuff, and people are telling him, you know what I mean? So I would try to leverage that and get a paid attorney to have an interest in getting me off, not just worry, not care what happens and then do appeals later.
Dago, I would disagree. I don't think that he's toast. And I don't think that Ann Taylor is throwing him under a bus or any of that stuff. I think she seems to be quite confident in her client. They seem to have quite a good relationship. She's confident enough to agree to have the house demolished.
Yeah.
That tells me that she's confident in her client as much as the prosecution are confident that they've got their man. I don't see anything in any of her motions that tells me that she's not confident in her client. Right from the word go, she hasn't wavered at all. They all look very confident in court. Brian looks comfortable around her. So I would disagree. I don't think Anne's doing a bad job particularly.
Regardless if it's appointed counsel by the state or if he's paying for the most elite, expensive attorneys that money can buy. Michael Wimmer asked the question previously. He's like, how can this even go to trial when there is no evidence? How can you, the prosecutor, bring a case
that we know of? We have to say that at this point, in my opinion, because we keep being told that there's something spectacular coming.
It's like
the only evidence I can think of the only evidence I can think of that's coming, and I don't know if you guys know this one gal. I don't really watch her that often because she's she's so much into the prosecution. But that what the hell's her name? What's Detective John's? Oh, crime analysis. Just crime analysis. You know who I'm talking about? The gal.
Yes.
Oh, she came out with a video yesterday. And who else has backed this up now? Oh, and then Harsh came out today and saying that the DoorDash could have been a witness.
Yeah,
I think
could have been a witness because we've not heard anything about this guy.
So two witnesses, no sketch.
Well, see, I thought
you know what I mean.
They said I thought in the beginning they were saying the DoorDash driver sent in a tip or tip.
Exactly. They said that the DoorDash driver contacted the police. They did not contact him.
Yeah.
No, wasn't that the private driver?
No,
that's written. That's written in a document somewhere.
Yeah.
And
it's in the PCA.
I think the rideshare driver did contact them as well, because when I had that conversation, was it both of them or was it one of them?
As far as I'm aware, the DoorDash was a girl. I think it was stated.
I've heard both ways. At the beginning, it was a girl with dark hair.
Yeah, and then
everybody thought it was Emma.
And I think JLR put a video out sitting with this other guy. Remember that?
Yeah.
I don't listen to LRG.
But what do you guys think of? Do you think that because it was the way that crime analysis put it was, they supposedly got up to the house at the same time, and Xana supposedly went down to get the food and came back up and seen that the sliding door was open.
Now let me ask a question.
Tommy,
who said that?
You're stealing that from me, Tommy.
I think it was crime analysis.
No, Tommy.
Because me and Dickie were talking and we thought of something. How could anybody have told somebody that if Xana's no longer here anymore? Who did Xana tell?
Right.
Assuming.
They showed a picture. The picture on it was that food that was over by the kitchen.
The bag.
That bag.
I don't think that was the bag. I don't think that was the bag.
We've been talking about this. Somebody seeing the door open. Like, this is all.
Yeah, I don't think it's the bag either.
I love how this circulates. So on other channels, it's great. But
right.
So Jack in the Box was shut.
Yeah. The only thing
DoorDash,
that would have been open
What's
was
that?
Taco Bell, I think.
Jack in the Box was closed.
were
Yeah,
DoorDash
but somebody told me
delivery.
that.
Right.
Yeah, but
Right.
but if they had a bunch of deliveries and they were the last ones, people told me that they would take an order and then drop it off late or something like that.
But
What?
irregardless
I
of all that,
order was
can I
put in
say
at
something?
2:30.
Yeah.
Irregardless
Yeah.
of all that, if this was the case and they had an eyewitness to this crime, like the DoorDash driver, like those people claim, you don't think that the grand jury would have 6 objections? They wouldn't have. They would have 10 objections.
Well,
Or
more
15.
importantly, why
That would have
wouldn't that?
not, yeah, that would have not been the case.
mo-
So no, they do not have that
More so
Man,
than that,
they
why
were
wouldn't
dying.
you? Why
Sorry,
wouldn't you
guys.
put that in your PCA?
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Right.
Because they don't want to show their whole hand yet. Like they don't put the strongest shit in the PCA.
Oh, yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Come
That's
on,
what
man.
everybody
That's,
says.
I'm
that's
so
the
sick and tired of
difference.
hearing that shit.
So
Why?
the only witness they use is Dylan's, who basically says bushy eyebrows and clad in black. If they had a witness that said they saw this dude, you know, with more of a description than that, driving his car or getting out of his car or coming in, going in and out of the house, surely that would have been their witness in the PCA, not this bushy eyebrow nonsense.
I think
And
that's
where are the
why.
sketches?
I
Yeah.
think that's why Dylan's such a problem for me. You have a witness that literally can't even tell you if this dude is taller than her or not, or what color he is, but she could see facial hair.
Well, how does she
And know
even
his
know?
race.
How does she even know it's a guy?
That's
Or
what
what?
How would you see facial hair if he has a mask on?
How do you
I'm
know?
talking about like his
it's
eyebrows.
male?
I consider that facial hair, but it's probably not. Those are standard. But
Dago.
Compared to the dude on the Banfield, though, those
That's-
eyebrows.
thank you. Thank
I'm
you,
sorry.
Dinky.
And like Clue had said a while back, like first off, it was never stated whether it was a Caucasian or African American or Asian male.
Nope.
It was never stated. How do you know it's a male?
And then
Exactly.
you use it. You
Right.
use that in your
Exactly.
PCA. It's BS because in your PCA you verbatim state when we saw Koberger's license picture, he was a white male with bushy eyebrows, which is what our eyewitness described. No, she didn't. She never told you it was a white guy.
No.
Yep.
No.
Or a man.
And
And if
and,
she did-
and cop and for
And
cop
they
talk,
had
that's
his-
like the
they
first
had
thing
his
is
name.
black guy, white guy.
Right.
And if
They had his name on the 14th of November, the very next day.
They did.
They
And that's
they,
what
they,
I
they
said.
ran because they knew the car, they ran
Oh no.
who all got pulled over in the
I
last
think
year.
they had an informant. I'm not saying an
Yeah,
eyewitness.
no,
Don't
they
mix-
they they
don't mix
ran
the two
they
up.
ran the Hyundai Elantra through their system to see if anybody had gotten pulled over in a white Elantra, and his name came up on the 14th of November, 2022. So they had his name from the beginning.
I believe so too, Tommy, but I think they had an informant, not an eyewitness, an informant. Big difference.
Oh yeah, that's a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
Like I
didn't
said,
find
Well,
out.
I was just on that other deal.
and he didn't
I
do
was
it.
just saying what crime analysis was saying, and I was just looking
Oh.
for discussion on that. Yeah, I don't believe in that.
He couldn't have done it.
I should
minutes.
answer this question though. Question for me here from Aloha Annie. Question, Tommy. I worry about the religious affiliation of the jury. They tend to stick together. Do you have any thoughts on that? That's actually a pretty good question. And
Yeah.
I have a thought on that.
yeah, please speak your thought.
Because
Right about the
Christ
religion.
Church, as we know, is the biggest church in the area. They actually are questioning the police work.
Yeah. They're also stating that they believe a lot of the jurors will be members of their church.
Correct.
Oh,
That's why
boy.
I don't think he's toast.
And they
Yeah,
don't
that
think
will be interesting.
they don't
Yeah.
think he did it. So that's
Well-
going to be interesting.
That goes along with a little bit of why I don't think he's toast, because at the end of the day, I think what I see here is a situation where this happened the U of I wanted it to go away. They rushed an arrest, made sure that Moscow rushed an arrest. Then they've destroyed the house. At the end of the day, they don't really give a damn, in my opinion, if they convict this guy or not. What they wanted to have happen has happened. They showed that Moscow's capable of arresting somebody quickly, and they've removed the house so that everything can move on. At the end of the day, they want this over. And I think if there's a chance of an appeal, and if that starts really getting talked about, if there is a corruption scenario, they're going to probably make sure this guy gets off so that he can appeal, because they want this to go away.
That's true, because then it's out of their hands.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just my thought.
Moving on, right? That's
I-
what it is too. And let me clarify
That's crazy.
I'm sorry.
No, if he's found innocent, then he's innocent, and no, it doesn't start over.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I just wanted to clarify. I don't think that Ann Taylor's doing a bad job. I was just saying I think that the reason why I thought he was toast is because I think that like the public has him convicted, so it's going to be really hard to fight against that. I think she's doing a great job, and I think that she's setting everything up for the appeal in that sense. I don't think though that I think we talked about this the other day. That's why I think that this is where the problem is that she's not fighting for his innocence per se. I think she's kind of working on the fact that there's been some mistakes made, is what I think.
Agree 100%. I think she's doing the best with what she has to work with.
Yeah, right.
But if you notice, Brian, I was going to put this in a video tomorrow, but Brian has not denied anything that they have said about him. He has said that he was driving around. He has said there's 3 other DNAs that they found, but they aren't his. So he's not even denying that the DNA on that sheet is his.
Right. I think it's a tactic. I really think it's a tactic, which goes right in line with the standing silent. The fact that the man hasn't said nothing other than when he responds to the judge, and that's it.
And he hopped in that plane fast as fuck.
Oh yeah.
What?
It's Leah. Look what Leah's saying here too, because you know what? That I think that's 100% true.
Which are you talking about? The kids that were unalived, Leah, or other kids?
Ellie is covering up that the kids were informants.
But what kids?
That's what I'm saying. Are you talking about
That's a good question. That's a good question, Clue, because
the victim.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time with that one. I know they're using other kids, but were those 4 one of those 4, or all of those 4, or 2 of those 4? I don't know.
I think a lot of it.
Okay, I got you. Thank you, Leah.
The victims, you said?
Yeah, that's what she
victims.
Said.
See, I'm like, I don't know why. I just cannot. Dago, you talked earlier about being in your college age, right?
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing? Going to party at a college?
I wasn't going to school. I was not going to school.
Right, but I'm saying, like, you went to the these
I
kids.
would go to the Ohio State University to hang out and party. I didn't even go to school there. I had friends.
Right.
That's a fact, folks. I had my friends there. I was I was up there to party because it was nothing but a party every weekend. That's where I was.
He was the one that ran down the Ohio State Buckeyes field buck naked.
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
how did you know about that?
I just think a lot of times people, when we're talking about these kids, they think that they're like low key in the bushes spying on people, trying to no. These kids are literally, they got no cares in the freaking world.
They were living their best life.
Right. Yes. Their parents have money. They ain't got to worry about not having no food, no gas, no cell phone. Like these kids were not
in the house, you know.
Right.
That's what it's supposed to be, you guys. That's the best time of their lives. The best time of anybody's life at that age. Yeah. They're enjoying their lives, getting an education, living the best lives. And that's another reason why this is so hard. You know, they didn't deserve anything that happened to them. So it doesn't.
No.
I heard a lot of people say, and I know what you're saying, Clue, that they're, like you said, low key in the bushes. Like, hey,
they're not going to do that.
No.
If somebody
Yeah.
came up to me at that age, and let me tell you something, I would have told you to fuck straight off. Like, no, I got no cares in the world. I'm not about to go in some bit like worrying about what this person's doing, and that even if they knew people like that, they don't care.
I mean,
Right.
usually
I'm not
to get to be an informant, then you would have to have been pulled in, facing some sort of arrest or charge for them to offer you a way
typically
out.
where it comes from, right, Dinky? Yeah.
They don't just walk around campus saying, "Does anybody here want to be an informant for the Fed?" Because I'm sure they wouldn't get many applicants for that. It's usually people they've picked up, that are
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, so that part of it, I'm not really convinced on, and I'm also, the thing that gets me is this whole. So people say that, it's kind of a setup or whatever. And me and Willie were just talking about this. If they wanted to set somebody up for this, their perfect fall guy would have been Brent. When they took Brent out that day,
Yes.
they could have come out to the press and said, "Yep, got our guy.
Yep.
Sorry, but we've had to take him out, but he was threatening to kill his roommates. We believe this is the guy." If they really had no one and wanted to pin it on somebody,
I can shoot a hole in that theory.
Opportunity right there and then to do that.
Right.
So I don't believe in that aspect. That that the cops obviously believe that they have something to convict Brian with. Whether they're right or wrong on that is a different matter. Whether they've got 10 different cars driving around an area at the same time and are convinced that that's Brian, what I'm saying is that they might have made a mistake in their investigating, and this guy was just easy pickings. And if he was in the area, in his phone pings and all of that stuff, then to them they've got evidence, but they're going to have to prove that. Loving the glasses, Dago.
Yeah.
Can I respond? Can I respond to that?
Yeah, what was it you did? Eddie just said he could poke a hole in that. What's up with that, buddy?
Go on, Eddie.
Right. I want to hear
Well,
this.
if Brent Kopacka really did it, you would not want to say that he really did it, because what is the motive? Someone doesn't do this for a thrill. Someone got paid to do it. So you wouldn't want the one who really did it to be accused of it.
But
so
Brent's
that would lead to the people who paid the money, who are the orchestrators of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
to the top, to the people at the top.
I mean, I'm still not. I mean, I'll get absolutely shot down for this. I'm still not convinced that Brent didn't have something to do with it. I mean, in my mind, if you take Brian out of the picture and look at potential suspects for this crime, the situation with Brent, you would look at that on paper and say, yeah, this guy, is capable of that. He's trained to do that. He was obviously going through some sort of breakdown at the time. So he would look good for that. I mean, I've heard that his brother or a relative drive an Elantra. So there's a lot of evidence against a lot of other people. But it's, like I say, I'm not convinced either way that Brian did it or not. I'm leaning more towards he didn't do it because I've not seen anything to make me think he has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my problem. Is there's no evidence.
This is the third time I've heard this evening about like the police rushed this arrest. They need this arrest so that the college and everyone on the campus and the community can feel safe, and enrollment numbers can go up, and financially it's going to benefit everyone, and they just want it over. So what if we slow that down for a little bit and talk about that? Because, okay, what day did they begin? What day did they decide that, look, we're gonna do this. This is our game plan. We're just gonna rush, right? A rush to conviction. What day was that? Because if you look at that first press conference, you can tell it was already in play, but they didn't have any DNA at that point. So what caused them to rush and just put it on the guy?
Well, I mean,
singular
if you,
person.
if
I don't
you,
think I don't think they
January 1st is
necessarily
coming quick.
rush to put it on a guy, right? But I think if the way I see it is they didn't have any real suspects, and to our knowledge, they didn't do any real legwork on him.
they
But
had a
the minute they get the IGG back, they pull his cell phone records. They start doing all this analysis, and then they issue an arrest warrant for him.
I think Eddie, with that where that comes from is that the school per se. I think a lot of people believe that the school had a deadline set in play because they have the next semester coming in to classes, and there was nobody in custody, and that was going to affect the classes for the next semester because people weren't coming back if they didn't have a suspect in custody.
No.
So
You
that's what I mean.
don't know
So
that.
how'd they go from having nothing, okay, from literally going on TV begging for information, to all of a sudden they have a witness, possibly two, and this and that, like that? How does that all of a sudden just magically happen? That's why I don't think they have a shit ton more evidence.
No, they already had it.
Willie, what were you saying, Eddie? When I finished that up, you started to say something.
Well, I said that's an assumption. You don't know that people are not going to go back to the campus.
No, you're right, and I'm just saying I think that's where that came from a lot of people stating
Sure.
that. I like
But
Because
we got to look at when
that.
we have a theory like this, we got to look at the pros and cons of it because okay, so
Agreed.
you're the prosecutor, you are the investigator, and you have to bring this to your prosecutor. Now, unless he's corrupt too, if he's a straight and narrow, and you're just going to say, look, I got these phone pings and all these loose connections. I got a white sedan. It may or may not be this car, and what is your prosecutor gonna say? Like, you need to look for something else to do. You can't be employed in this field anymore. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, I got what you're saying.
So the pros and cons is this will never get a conviction. Bring me more. Go back to work. Give me something I can use. So they haven't done that.
Well, they did that with the DNA or the IgG material. I think that's what is their biggest fall, and also their biggest,
downfall,
the bag, so to speak.
Right. They're not allowed to use that, are they? That's the problem.
They won't be able to. I don't think so.
I mean, the other problem I've got is, if we're to believe that they had Brian as a suspect, then why would they have pulled him over twice on his way back home to Pennsylvania? Because
we'll never figure it out.
At that point, you've got to say he's either a suspect or he isn't. Now, if he is a suspect, those two traffic stops were very high risk, more high risk than going to his office while he's still at Pullman and asking him for a DNA swab. Because if you pulled a dude over in his car and he decides to run, all he's got to do is step on the gas and go. But they do that twice. And they still don't, when he gets back to Pennsylvania, go and knock on his door and say, oh, Mr. Koberger, we're trying to eliminate people. We notice you've got this car that's similar to the one we're looking for. Would you mind giving us a bit of your DNA? At no point did they ever do that we're aware of, because they had to collect his dad's DNA.
That's another thing too. Is I've heard that.
His door down.
Tell me if this is true or not. Was he questioned or wasn't he questioned?
I don't believe so.
Not until after his arrest that we know of.
There's
wild
record of it.
So there's rumors going on in other channels saying that he had been
I know what you're talking about.
questioned beforehand, and that he turned down the DNA swab and all that crap.
That's all hearsay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
I'm sure a really reliable source told him that.
Well, and I think if he had done that, they would have put that in the PCA, because that would be kind of incriminating.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
No, Tommy, we have to talk about that. That's worth discussing, because the interrogation, the pain interrogation, there is the pain interrogation. You're right.
That's true too. Yeah.
But when is this pain interrogation though?
When did this happen?
That was after his arrest.
Yeah.
And you also have to remember that he didn't give up a buccal swab of his own DNA until 6 days after he was arrested.
Do you have it?
So Payne interrogated him?
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania.
You have it.
I'm
We
guessing.
would have to. We would all have
in
to,
Pennsylvania. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. That's an
going to be the
assumption.
point where Brian said, "I want to see my attorney." You know what I mean? Payne would have questioned him, obviously pushed him too far, and Brian would have said, "Look, I want my lawyer."
So
And that's as far as that got.
I disagree on that buccal swab, because if you look at the search warrant from Pennsylvania, there's definitely one listed there.
Okay.
Yeah, there is, and that was Brian's. They have to list his. They have to list his on the search warrant.
Right.
It was part of the
Well,
instructions.
And
If
it
they're
was in
taking
the
it from the house.
instructions. If you look at the instructions for the search warrant, they were instructed to collect a buccal swab from him. So he gave up his DNA when they arrested him.
I thought it days after.
So it's listed in the what do you call inventory or whatever.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I covered. What were you going to say, Eddie, about that one part?
Well, it seems we've moved on from it, but I'm still on the interrogation. I could talk more about it, or if you guys want to move on, we can. You let me know.
No, finish what you were saying, bud, because I was curious what you were getting ready to say about the interrogation itself.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
All right. May 4th, 23, the first supplemental request for discovery. They're asking for the Brett Payne interrogation. Now, that would be something in Brian Koberger's memory. That would be something that, they interrogated me, right? So she would request that. And the state's response about a week later on May 12th is the state has provided recordings of MPD Detective Payne's interview with Mr. Koberger to the defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's the response. A week later.
Yeah.
Now, on the second motion to compel, June 15th, so about like a month later, the defense responds to that. And they say, the state responded that they have provided audiovisual 0123 discovered on March 30th. However, the recording is an in-person interview with FBI agents rather than the phone interview done by Moscow police.
Yeah.
So the state's response to this is the state has been informed that this phone interview was completed by S.A. Shirley, who confirmed this phone interview was not recorded. So it brings up many questions like, so is there really a Brett Payne interrogation?
Thank you. That's my
was Brett Payne ever in Pennsylvania, which is very unlikely. So there must be more than one.
Yeah.
There
I didn't
might
think
even be possibly a total of 3 interrogations. There might be a Brett. There might really be a Brett Payne one that he's not owning up to. In that.
Yeah, did Payne interrogate him here? I mean, in Idaho. You know what I mean?
Why? And that's a question that. Thank you for bringing that up, Eddie. I figured you of all people would have that. Why was it not recorded? If that's the case, if you take that into effect, maybe because
why wasn't there no fucking body cams on 50 fucking FBI agents?
I was just gonna say that same reason there's no body cam footage.
Right.
Well, that's another topic altogether.
Unless they were
and then they wonder why we think it's a frame job.
What I really want to see is the body cam footage of them finding the sheath, because if they're going to put on their body cam footage for a noise for a noise complaint, because remember, we have the body cam footage of them going to the house for a noise complaint, so there's no way in hell they're not going to turn it on for a quadruple homicide. I'm sorry. So they better have themselves discovering that sheath exactly what they're saying.
Will be that they didn't want to film all the blood and all that shit is what they're probably going to say, because they're going to take pictures of it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. And you were, I'm sorry, guys.
We saw that guy's head in a bucket with his genitals. What's the difference?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
At the end, Eddie, what was the last part of what you just said, bud?
So let's imagine if Brett Payne did interview him and it was recorded, and they learned during the course of that, when they brought him in, like, let's just say a week or 2 or 3 weeks, at any rate, in general, before he left back to Pennsylvania and made that drive, if when he was in Pullman, he was interviewed and they recorded it, and then that recording, well, I'll finish my thought with these two final points is they learned that he cannot alibi. He was by himself. He wasn't at a party with 10 other of his closest mates, right?
Right.
Number
Oh,
one.
right.
Number two,
right.
because
Good
they
point,
learned
Eddie.
that they can put it on him now, then
Right.
they dispose of this recording. Now I know you got to put your tinfoil hat
Oh,
on to talk
fucking
about
A.
that.
Good point, Eddie. Fucking bingo.
Officers.
That
Yeah.
makes sense, bud. That's
That
why
makes
I
a
learned.
lot of fucking sense.
And that goes along with what Dinky was saying earlier is why don't they just put it on Brent Kopacka? Well,
Yeah.
if he really did it, you cannot do that because that's going to
Right.
lead you to the people who are at the top of this, who paid for this hit, right? So you have to put it on someone who has absolutely no connection to this whatsoever and is clueless.
That's a good point, bud. That's a really good point.
I know that's
That
a
is
deep
good.
dive, and we
Well,
can't really
I
go
mean,
there.
that's
But
what this is about. I mean, that's what it's been about. But that does make a lot of sense, dude. It really, really does.
It does make a lot of sense. They
And
could have found out so much on that interview. You know what I mean?
And it
Well,
just
Looking for someone to
it's
pin
just
it on.
telling. When the state's final response is that the state has just been informed, on July 11th, they just learned that the interview, as it turns out, was not with Detective Payne. It was S.A. Shirley. I mean,
Yeah, Shirley.
The prosecutor's learning that in July.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
that's we know that ain't true. So I mean,
All right.
and that right there. Thank you, Eddie. That is what
Well,
has
I
made all
the,
this happen.
the prosecution's getting along with L.E. though on this case. I bet you they don't get along too well.
And that's why we can go now. Couple that with they're going to put it on him. I don't know how, but they're gonna. He's toast. How can all this even be possible? But they're doing it.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's what
they're
I'm
not
saying.
even ashamed. They're not even.
Yeah. He's
They're not
toast.
even concerned about it. Somehow it's going to happen.
Why would they be? Why would they think they would have to be? The confidence. They know what they're doing in that sense. If they're going to go in that direction, then they know exactly what the outcome's going to be, in my opinion. So therefore, there's no reason to be worried about it. Okay.
But ultimately, the only outcome that the way I see this, right, is if this was rushed and it's political, then it's political, and there's a motivation politically behind it. The only outcome anybody politically driven in this cares about is that an arrest is made.
Well, and then that's where you bring the college back into the the political side of that. In my opinion, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah. So I don't know that they necessarily care if they get a conviction or not. I really don't. I think they wanted to arrest somebody, and that's where I go with it, because I look at the fact that the house got torn down. The defense wouldn't fight that, because that only helps them at the end of the day.
Yes,
So
sir.
the prosecution not fighting it makes me think, why are you guys so in line with the U of I on this? Well, it seems obvious with everything else. U of I, MPD, the prosecution are all kind of working toward the same goal of supporting Moscow itself.
Mr. Kluminati, yes, I agree.
I love that.
They just need an indictment. The indictment was the hurdle. Now
Wait a
the
minute.
game is over.
Wait a minute. Stop. I love it. Say it again, Eddie. Call him what you just called him. I love it.
Mr. Kluminati.
I love that. That's great. I love it, brother. I love it.
Well, Mrs. Kluminati disagrees with fiance because his theory kind of gets shot in the foot. If this is all about the U of I, what better situation would there be than to pin this all on Kopacka? Because guess what you do at the same time? You throw shade at anyone who might be debating going to Washington State.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I see that.
I think your microphone
Sorry.
broke. Mrs. Kluminati, I think your microphone broke. Could you say that again?
So if this is all about the U of I and just wanting resolution, somebody in jail, somebody.
Where'd you go?
Hello?
Disappeared again.
Clue.
Oh no.
Cheeto.
Can you hear us?
She's
Oh,
not
no.
talking.
Can you type in chat, Clue? You might have to
Come
drop off
Come
and come back.
Do you see what it says under her name, Willie?
Huh?
It's
It's in
up.
the screen.
What's up, Willie?
Tits up.
Yeah, you might have to drop off, pop back up, Clue.
Can someone paraphrase what she said before she dropped out?
Well, I can paraphrase it. She's talking about, you throw WSU under the bus by, like as a win-win situation almost for U of Idaho. But I don't know if I agree with that because I think they work together. I think the two universities work together.
Holy Hanukkahs.
Uh-oh.
Whoa!
Tommy's eating his microphone.
We can hear the scratchy scratch.
Oh, yep.
The needle on the record.
Yeah, Clue's muted. Look. Oh, there she is. I think she's having
Hello?
trouble muting and unmuting.
Clue.
She's trying.
At that Vietnam connection.
That, by the way, I just want to tell you, Eddie, that was a great point.
It's funny
bud.
that it shows her still up there. Oh, there it goes. She's gone.
She's gonna
You drop down and come
She'll
back
jump
up.
back up.
Put the links out again, Tommy, just in case.
Oh, she's already there.
Oh, okay.
Bing
Can you
bong.
hear- Can you hear us, Clue? Clue, Mr. and Mrs. Clue.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
She might have to reboot her computer.
I hope you didn't spill anything on her mic.
Oh, that'd be a bummer.
Don't put that in the universe.
Too much of saliva.
Yeah, Cletus is too informal for me. It's Mr. Cluminati.
Mr. Clue.
Right?
I love that. I loved it.
What happened to Beyonce? It was Beyonce for a while. I quite
Yeah,
like
that was a good point. Good point, Eddie.
But yes, Eddie, I have to agree. That was a great point.
All right.
And you kind of brought that up like 6 months ago. I remember we had that conversation about, not in the
Yeah.
same sense of what we talked about, the whole, was it possibly, let me remember how you kind of said something like, Bill Thompson doesn't even care if it goes, if he gets the conviction. I remember that conversation we had for, a while back.
Yes, you're right.
Right, you
Resolving
Clue?
that whole thing. So yeah.
You there, Clue?
I'm here.
Ooh,
Oh, there we go.
okay.
You're back.
There you are.
What happened?
We were just talking away and
I
then
know.
realized it was quiet, and it's like, wait a minute, something went wrong.
Did you still hear me talking shit?
Yeah.
No.
Damn it.
What were you saying to finish your thought, Clue?
I said what I said about them pinning it on him. And of course, Beyonce had to argue and say, yeah, but they're not going to do that to a Purple Heart recipient because if it ever is found out, they look really bad. But I mean, could you really look any worse than just pinning it on someone anyway?
Well, I'm not necessarily saying that they're pinning it on Koberger, but they have supporting evidence that to make an arrest. They got a judge to sign off on an arrest warrant. At the end of the day, I look at this and say, worst case or best case scenario, that was their motivation for doing it. Whether it sticks or not, they don't give a damn. And then because the other thing that supports that in my mind is the whole Bethany Funk exculpatory evidence. As soon as they find out about that, then they immediately jump to a grand jury. So that the possibility of him walking never comes about.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely that's a theory for sure.
What is our general thinking, collective thinking about this placed sheath? What is everyone's thoughts on that?
Oh, the wording, you mean?
Yeah.
Well,
I will be right back. I can still hear, so I'll be right back. Though, keep going.
I think it's a good defensive wording, right? Placed. Because I mean that was written by Jay Logsdon, which, by the way, is my hero in this case. I love him.
I think he's fantastic.
Me too, and I hope he gets to talk at trial. I hope he is the one that is like interrogating people, cross-examination.
Yep.
Well, that's the one thing we better get to see is the cross-examination of Dylan. He better not censor that on his channel. I'll be pissed.
But
What's
it is
that?
weird saying placed, like the sheath was placed, like
placed.
But then I guess
how
there's a lot of
Placed.
conflicting. If you look at the statements, there's a lot of conflicting statements regarding where the sheath was. At one point, it's on the right-hand side of Maddie, and you can see it from the doorway. But then it was later pointed out to be half under a blanket and half under her, so you couldn't see it from the doorway. So maybe she's concluded from those three. There's three different statements regarding where that sheath is. So maybe she's just decided to put, it was placed next to, or maybe they've moved it to take a picture of it. Who knows?
But Nicky, excuse me if I'm wrong. Didn't they say that they saw the sheath after somebody reviewed body cam footage? Isn't that correct? So they have the body cam footage.
No, Blaker says that he was later told.
Okay.
Yeah, and I always get a kick out of the laters in the PCA.
Yeah.
Later on.
I was later.
So nobody got there till like 5.
Well, and here's the problem, right? So you're there. You and Blaker, Payne and Blaker, Payne and Blaker show up at the same time, right? They walk through this crime scene together. So, and what's always been weird to me is Payne says, I later noticed a knife sheath. Well, why, if that's the case, if you saw the knife sheath, why is ISP the one that's informing Blaker? You would think the two of them were there together. Why wouldn't Payne go to Blaker and be like, I just found this knife sheath?
Well, it's Corporal Smith that shows Blaker and Payne around at 4:00 when they arrive there. So this Corporal Smith has already, I'm guessing, looked around the crime scene. So he's later stated to Blaker, when Blake is writing his statement, that he saw the knife sheath, in this position, and then Payne is saying that he's seen it from the doorway. So I've actually got Blaker's statement up here on my other screen. I was just looking for the search warrants for Brian's home address to see if I could find when they did that buckle swap, but it's like 100 pages and I'm
I understand that part, but it's like, why isn't Payne telling Blaker about this sheath instead of the Idaho State Police having to inform him?
I agree.
Well, and it's the second. It's one of two big discrepancies between Payne and Blaker's statements. The other one being Bethany. What Bethany said she saw in terms of Xana and Ethan at Sigma Chi, because Payne lays it out from 9 to 1. Says she laid it out from 9 to 1:45, whereas Blaker says she says she saw them there from 9 o'clock, but doesn't give an end time like Payne does, and it's just really odd.
Yeah. Okay.
My thoughts. Go ahead.
Go on. I thought Eddie was saying something.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just share my thoughts about placed, what that means. So, in court, when you're going to file a document or when you're going to say something, you're walking a fine line. You got to be very tactful because you don't want to be found in contempt, right? You don't want to be accusatory. Say you have the client who was not there. So you guys don't know how that sheath got there. You weren't there to know. And who are you accusing? If you're saying it was planted there, who planted it? That's accusatory. You got to be very careful. So I think placed it's like a word that they can
there's a lot of
use
synonyms
to suggest, and that will kind of communicate with the world at large, us, in other words.
Yeah, I think
that is what is happening there. If you read into that, those are my thoughts on placed. That tells us a lot about, well,
where did it go?
About whether he was there at all or not.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you definitely can't just come out right and like you said, be accusatory without any adding a person to that.
Sure.
You know,
Their job isn't to solve this riddle. Her job is to advocate for this client if he's innocent. That's it. Who really did this? It doesn't even concern her.
If he's innocent, Eddie, they don't have to prove anything.
Well, yeah, we don't know that. Ann Taylor and Brian Kohlberger would know that, and so would the prosecutor.
Do you think that she's asked him straight up, did you do it or not?
Probably.
I would imagine.
She's. What is the question, Dinky?
I said, do you think that Ann Taylor has asked Brian straight up, look, did you do this or not? And do you think that she would believe his answer? Would that change the way that she's, representing him?
No, we can feel it. She knows. Can't
She
you feel
knows.
it? She is his world. She's his lifeline.
Yeah, well, I think he's got more of a relationship with the other two lawyers. I think those experts that they brought in, I think they've come from Brian requesting them because he, that's his stuff, and it is the cloud-based forensic stuff. So I've just found Blaker's statement, so I'm just looking to see what they say about the chief. It says November the 1st at approximately 4 p.m. Moscow Police Department Corporal Brett Payne and I responded. So yeah, him and Blaker and Payne responded at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Upon our arrival, the Idaho State Police forensic team was on scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. Blah, 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 blah. Just trying to find where they state about the chief. Later, bedrooms, one of the bathrooms. So if I later learned from... here we go. I then followed Officer Smith upstairs to the 3rd floor of the residence. The 3rd floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Katie Gonsalves, hereafter Gonsalves' room. I later learned from review of Officer Nunes' body camera, there was a dog in the room when Moscow police officers initially responded. So one of them definitely had a body cam.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
As I entered the bedroom, I could see 2 females in a single bed in the room. Both Gonsalves and Mogan were deceased with visible stab wounds. I was later advised by ISP investigators they located a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed, had K-Bar, USMC, and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and Anchor insignia stamped on the outside.
You see the problem here?
So the sheath was found by ISP, not Moscow, right?
Well, that's not what Payne says.
Right.
So this is this is Blaker's statement. So I was later advised by ISP investigators they located a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. So he's saying here, right, this is Blaker, who's being shown around. He's being shown around at 4 p.m. by Smith, but they've not noticed this knife sheath at all because he's later been advised, by ASP investigators, they located a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side.
Right. And that's my whole problem.
So
Because
he saw it. He's saying he was later advised that they located it.
Right.
Yeah. So he didn't see it with his own eyes. Payne.
Or
Or he was
How the
with
hell is it visible
ISP
from the
when they
doorway?
pulled the comforter back and saw it.
That's what I think too. I think
Yeah.
Payne was there when ISP found it, but it's still like, I don't know. It's something weird about that to me. It's
The
just
whole
off.
thing is really strange. Yeah.
See, I
And how many
usually-
hours was it in? They didn't even find it until Payne got there, did they?
And that's another question, guys. I wanted to know. You know who the first two officers to respond were, right?
Smith and Nunes.
Right. So why are they not writing the PCA?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Smith
Huh.
and Nunes are the first two, and it's Smith that shows Payne and Blake are around.
They
Well,
waited.
is that
What were they
that
doing inside for
uncommon,
4
though?
hours? 5
I'm
hours.
just
Yeah,
curious.
because I think they're just officers.
That's what I was going to say. They're patrolmen. I mean, is it really that odd that a detective versus a patrolman would write the PCA in this?
No.
Yeah, but Fletcher wasn't no detective.
No,
No.
but Payne was the lead investigator on this, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So I mean,
He was the only detective there. Period.
yeah. So I mean, I just don't see it that odd that the patrolman didn't write it. But I mean, it's a fair question for sure.
But why I'm asking that is because they're the first ones on scene. They're the first to see the situation as they approach. I would imagine that there should be some form of a, and I could be wrong. This is my thoughts. Like it should be seen from their perspective as they arrived on scene immediately. You know what I mean? That's why I'm asking that.
Yeah, but Dago, it says here, right, that obviously Nunes' body camera showed that the dog was in the room, right?
Right. Like where was the dog at 4 o'clock?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like why would you have to look at another officer's body camera to know there was a dog there?
Well, that's always been my question as well. Who let the dog out of the room? Did they wait until Blaker and Payne had been, or did they let the dog out before any techs or anything, crime scene techs, went into the property? Did they let the dog out as soon as they discovered it, or did they wait for the crime scene techs to turn up to give them the okay to move the dog? Because they would have had to have walked the dog through the crime scene.
Yeah. And that is the situation too, because you can't let the dog not go to the bathroom for like 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Right. It's already been there for 8 hours.
Exactly. I was just going to say, what about 8 hours when the dog be whimpering, barking?
I mean, overnight, that's like my dog don't get up and go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. But after.
If you're up all the time, they will.
What?
I said, if they're up with you all the time, they will.
Yeah. But if once you learn there's like an animal here, you would have to give it its basic needs, right? Like
yeah. Well, and I mean,
water.
I would imagine they cleared they pulled everybody out of that house the minute they got there and realized what happened, including that. When I say everybody, I'm saying even the dog.
Yeah, but that dog could have evidence.
That dog,
but I mean, yeah.
So they shouldn't have. But it looks like, like I say, if you read Blake's, I always go by this huge document that I found online, and it's got everything. It's got all the search warrants, what the search warrants returned. It's even got floor plans. It's got floor plans of Brian's apartment, everything. And it's all in one place. And it's Blaker's statement, which is basically what they use for the PCA, but it's a bit more involved. And it's interesting because, like I say, you find little nuggets like this. So obviously the two guys have gone in, one wearing a body cam.
Right.
But when they've gone back in at 4 o'clock with Smith, they've still not noticed a knife sheath because they've later been informed that it was there, which is really interesting because that's not what it says in the PCA.
Exactly.
The actual PCA, it says something completely different to that. But I find that quite interesting.
I agree, and that question that Deborah put up there, I would be real curious to see if you put Brian in a room and brought Murphy in that room with him, how that dog reacted.
Right. I would like to see that too.
Well, and my question is, don't you think, there would be at least some hair somewhere in his car or his house, or I'm sorry, his
Something
apartment.
somewhere. Yeah,
There was-
You know,
There
of
was
Murphy's
something.
hair.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
If he was all over
I'd
that
agree
bed.
with that.
So
Yeah.
to be fair, there's a chance that Brian never interacted with Murphy, in my opinion.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but no, I'm just talking about the hair being everywhere.
Yeah,
No, I'm
I
talking
don't
about
think.
what's on the screen, right?
But Kaylee and Maddie apparently took Murphy out and they got back. So I'm
Yeah,
guessing they would have had dog
They
hair. on
supposedly
them.
did, right?
So they would have had, you know, traces of dog hair or
And
sweat.
it's very possible what you said, Clue, is true, because if that dog stayed in the room, in Kaylee's room the whole time, then yeah, there's a big chance that he never interacted with whoever was in that house.
But it also like that Kaylee, if she ever locked Murphy in that room, I believe that she left her slider open in her bedroom to let Murphy out onto the balcony, because there's a dog bed up on that, or there was. There's not anymore because there's no house, but there's always a dog bed up on that balcony. It would make sense if she's going out just to leave that open to let him go in and out.
That's true.
Right. That makes sense.
And I don't think Murphy was there the whole night, because he was. I'm pretty sure he was over at Linda Lane. I mean, we got pictures of him over there. I don't think he
there
was.
would be more barking though on that camera, on that ring cam, if he was allowed to go
Right.
outside.
Right. Well, I think I'm gonna shut her down, guys. My
It's quarter past.
my ear things are starting to beep.
Thanks for having me here, Tommy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys. Dago and Willie and Clue and Eddie, and nice meeting you, Eddie and Dinky. I'll be checking out your video tomorrow. I got some new ones coming out that's going to be called the missing and the dead. That'll be coming out here in a couple of days or so. There'll probably be a couple parts to it. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on. A good discussion, real good discussion. I was just kicking back listening to you guys, man. I was like, I
enjoy this, and I think we should do.
Yeah, so do I.
More of these, like all together like this. I like the discussion. It was very interesting.
It was very
for
interesting.
sure. Even if
It's
we
good
do
to see, you hear different perspectives. And Eddie, geez, you came up with a couple of things there that really I hadn't heard before. And
always, I love Eddie.
Yeah.
Always, always.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And all of you. Yeah.
Third thing, it's still early, guys. I thought it was way later than this. It's still early.
It's only 10:15. Somebody has to go live.
It's 3:15 in the morning. Shut up.
Well, you're halfway across the world, dude.
I'm too old, man. I'm too old to go too late. All right. And to my beautiful crime family out there, you guys are awesome. Every one of you and my mods, I love you very much. You rock, man. You're the best, and you know it. And we shall see you guys.
Thanks for having me on, man.
All you
Until
guys.
next time. Till next time. Well, everybody say it. Rock and roll.
Me in the morning on a bright and sunny day. Yes, you left me in the morning on a bright and sunny day. You didn't wait for me, mama. You didn't even say goodbye. I tried so hard to be there by your side. I tried so hard there by your side. by your side. Yes, I tried so hard to be there by your side. But you didn't wait for me, mama. You didn't even say goodbye. In the morning on a bright and sunny day.